ago, one of the topics that came up was safety. And how do we improve and build upon safety in our own council? Some have asked or talked to me and said, well, isn't this just insurance driven? And I would suggest to you, it's not insurance driven. It's driven by a culture of safety. I came from electric utility world where safety was number one. It had to be number one. If it wasn't number one, people died. And at the end of the day, if we can't provide a safe environment for our scouters, for our scouts, for our volunteers, for our staff, then what's all the rest of the work that we're doing really there, right? You have to build on that foundation of safety. And doing that, we're encouraging every unit, every activity, every gathering of scouts to have a safety moment, a relevant safety moment, whether that's about weather safety, whether it's about acts, whether it's about car safety, seat belts, whatever is relevant. And there's two places. So on our own Lincoln Heritage Council site under Safe Scouting, there's resources there. And then in the national under Health and Safety. So it is scouting.org health and safety. There are resources there, including what I've circled up here, safety moments. So if you're going, what do we talk about? You can go and get some ideas from safety moments. We also, through the committee, created a district safety chair position. And the purpose of this position is to foster and to build upon the council safety committee, to help push this out to districts, to give the district a resource that they can go to whenever they say, hey, what about safety moments, to give to work units a resource they can go to. Now, this isn't a position that's going to be able to do everything by themselves. They're going to have to liaise with commissioners. They're going to have to liaise and work very closely with the training committee for safety training. They're going to have to work across the district and also with the council safety committee. But it reinforces our position on 100% youth protection training. And will absolutely be one of these positions, I think, that gives a lot of emphasis to safety. So, for example, at least through my research on a national level, Scoutmaster has the opportunity to create a leadership position in their unit if they'd like to. Now, that won't work for Life or Eagle Scouts because they have to have very specific leadership positions. But I have not found anything that says a unit leader could not create a safety position in the unit as a leadership position. Kind of similar to a chaplain's aide, right? Except they're responsible for looking out for safety, being focused on it, making sure that there's a safety moment at every activity, making sure that if they're on a camp out and the act yard gets set up, it got set up and roped off in the right manner, right? And thinking about safety very specifically on all the activities and making sure that it's in the forefront of everything we do. I'm happy to talk more about that safety chair position if people have questions or comments on that. But for the sake of time, I'm going to move on. Around the room. Yes, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
That scout position be the equivalent of instructor? It is a valid scouting position.
Maybe. Dan, I don't feel comfortable saying yes because I'm not familiar as I should be with an instructor position. So I don't know. Quite possibly. I think it's open for some creativeness and thinking and further discussion. It's brand new. We don't have a permanent road, right? Chuck Pemberton and I, as part of the council safety committee, plan on having meetings with these safety chair positions on probably start off on a monthly basis. So we can start getting them up and running. So it'd be very similar to, as you know, how the advancement committees work today, the program committees, those things, except it'll be focused on safety and working with that council safety committee. Any other questions on that before I move on? Paul and Megan, if you have questions, I can't see hands or reactions out there, so I'm depending completely on you all to break in and interrupt at any time, so feel free to do so.
David, we had a request from Megan at the satellite. If we could rephrase the question, if we have a question coming from the back, if they can't hear.
Okay, sure. The question was, would this safety position, unit safety position be similar to instructor? And I think I can't answer that at this time. I think that would just require some folks that are probably much more familiar with those positions to think about it and advise us. All right. So in the room here, and Megan and Paul, hopefully there, you have some flip charts. They are marked for each of the program areas. So program, membership, advancement, training. And then if you have a parking lot item doesn't fit in any of those, there's one up here that I think says other or something like that. You have Post-it notes on each of your tables. If you're thinking about something comes up and it's not a question that we can get to, please post it in the right area and we will work on getting to those. I can tell you we had parking lot last year at this meeting. David and I reviewed that and we focused and moved all those things forward. So, I mean, one of the things that came up, I think last year was chainsaw training. And I can tell you in the last council safety meeting, chainsaw training conducted by our rangers is on the agenda. Dan knows a lot about that and is heading that up for us as part of the safety committee. And you will see more coming out on that soon. Keep us on track. I'm asking the presenters to go with about 20 minutes of presentation and about 10 minutes for discussion, questions, or comments. There is a clicker here. The right arrow should move your slides forward and backwards. Also, I have a timer. So I went old school. So when the sand runs out, your time's up. Okay. And this is also very handy because it's a 360-degree view. So everybody in the audience can see how close you're getting to the end of your time. 30-minute timer. So you better be done before the sand runs out. This is lastly, before I turn it over to David for council. This little diagram to me is what it's all about. There's a foundation at the bottom, 3 M's, manpower, money, membership, which the districts are very much focused on, very much a strategy for the districts. On top of that is marketing that provides us with insights, knowledge, direction so that we spend our money and our time efficiently as we can to meet our overall goals. And then the 4 pillars of the house, you have program, membership, training, and advancement that builds upon that. And with that foundation and that building, we're building strong leaders for the future, both our community, our state, and our nation. And at the end of the day, for me, that's what it's all about. All the work below that roof is what it takes in order to assure that we have the leadership we need for the future. Any questions? If not, David, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone. For those of you I don't know, and I'm struggling in this room in Louisville with that. I think I know just about everybody, but thank you for being here. Thank you for being at Pfeffer today. For those of you I'm not visiting with in person, and then of course in Central City. my role with the council office as director of field service, I pretty much get my hands into all council operations in some facet, and I have a lot of fun doing it. Still, I've been working with Scouts now for 24 years, and in the Lincoln Heritage for 20, and I'm still having fun. And I got to thinking about that today, because even on my bad days at work, there's still pretty good days. We're helping Scouts. We're helping kids. And that's what it's all about. It really comes down to me about being a part of a team. I've always enjoyed being parts of teams. I'm seen as a pretty competitive person, and I've always been driven by sports in some form or fashion. But I got to thinking about it this morning, and I think it really goes deeper than that for me, because I've always enjoyed being a part of a team. If you think, whether it be the fraternity in college, I could go back to my Cub Scouting days in our den. I didn't make it. I didn't transition. I was a tragedy. I was a victim of non-transition of scouting. So I'm passionate about getting our people transitioned into the next level. I was missed, but I always enjoyed being a part of a team. And I think if you think about scouting, there's a lot of teamwork. Why else do we talk about building teams? Why else do we have leadership? Because you're leading teams, even at the youth level, the scout level. And I'm blessed to be a part of the Lincoln Heritage Council because I do think we have a successful team. I really do. I think we have a successful council. And I think about that. And the great part about that is we're all in it together. We're not successful because of one person, I can assure you. And if you think of your scouting successes, you could always think of what team was around you when you had them. And at a district level, our encouragement is we want to build solid teams. We want to build them at the council level. But part of building a team, step one is alignment. And so a big focus for our meeting today, I thought that was pretty basic instructions, Dave.
Pre-open agenda.
Try again. There we go.
All right. Is being aligned with where we're going. For my lack of momentum getting to the next slide, I definitely am excited to share this one with you because our team has a lot of momentum going into 2025. You'll hear about a lot of successes, but going into 2025, if you really think about it, with a lot of the wins and a lot of the positivity that we have within our team and within our council, we do have a lot of momentum and a lot to celebrate, but we have a lot of opportunity. I don't want to fool ourselves. With a lot of the things we're talking about, we are comparing ourselves against a small crowd because we are high performing. But the reason we're going to stay high performing are looking at opportunities and being honest with ourselves on how we can improve, right? Just from a team building standpoint. I'm excited though, for what we have in store for this year. But as a part of working on a team, I encourage you to look at team development in a way that's helping your district leaders succeed. And part of that succeeding at a district level and even at a council level is recognition. Having our district leaders achieve those knots at a district level are important. And then engagement at council levels where we could get everybody engaged and moving in the same direction is important. Congratulations to our most recent Silver Beaver recipients. We have a solid crew that's going to be recognized on April 15th. And I encourage everyone to come out and honor them. It'll be a big celebration. I think most everybody should be able, in a degree of separation, know somebody on that list that we could go celebrate. So I'm excited about that. But encourage team development because these people that we're honoring in some way made a large impact within our council. And most of you, if I asked you, I tell you what, if you've earned the Silver Beaver, raise your hand or wherever you're at. I'm sure there's some raising our hands at the satellites. That's a good crew. One thing that we have is a lot of momentum, but in order to keep it, we have to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction in terms of our priorities. I know we've mentioned these. I could rattle them off. The first one is develop a culture of safety. One thing, our culture of safety within the Lincoln Heritage Council. And And you heard Dave emphasize that with the safety committee. The next one is delivering relevant programs. And you could see, through a lot of what David Donauer is going to share later, we have a real, and all of our program folks, advancement and training. We want to make sure that we're staying relevant, staying up to the times, but also pushing the envelope forward as we move through this year with the momentum we do have. Financial sustainability is important for our council. I could tell you we're a very financially sound council. We're blessed to have many resources between properties and, of course, within the different capital budgets and endowment, which has spiked up with of course, the interest recently, which was good for scouting. And our endowment, I think, is somewhere for our council in the 14, 15 million. Somebody on the board could check me on that. But where we fell short, quite frankly, this past year was on budget. There were several factors on that. It wasn't significant for our council our size, but this is an opportunity, if I was going to be honest with everyone in the room, for our council is to be good stewards. I'm not saying that we weren't last year, but we fell short in some budgets. We fell short in some of our campaigns for fundraising. Quite frankly, popcorn didn't perform as well as we would have liked it to. But when we start talking about finance at a district level, it's important because we're all part of that team and what we're trying to accomplish. And the dollars you give matter. The dollars you help get others to give matter to push us forward. I'm excited for Jeff Calabrese to share some of the membership success as we've continued our membership focus of growth and concentrating on diversity and retention, which we're living the dream now with the renewal system. Those are our main focuses. And then, being aligned on these are important because we can establish goals, looking at our various opportunities. And at least you're not going to have to fool with me the rest of the day on this. So then key 2025 council goals. One area we fell short, and again, I could concentrate on all the success, but to push our team forward, let's pay attention to some of our opportunities. You've heard me mention a couple already. One area is going to be in recruiting this year. We did not get in the number of schools we desired to this fall, number of different factors. But we have an overarching goal of recruiting 3,000 youth. You don't see it saying Cub Scouts up there. You don't see it saying Scouts PSA. Youth in all of our programs. We're looking to grow. You'll hear Jeff talk about that. And then start 40 new units. We had a goal of 50. That was probably ambitious last year. We had started roughly 32, I think, the year before. We had an ambitious goal of 50. We fell short. We were at 25, and we know we fell short. So what do you do when you fall short? You got to re-strategize and look at it. And you'll see from Jeff's presentation later, that needs to be a focus of ours. It's important in the formula of membership growth, and we don't have enough service stations out there for our youth. You could see achieve FOS goal. So you heard me mention that as an opportunity in my previous comments. That's going to be a big focus for us as a council this year. We're going to need to hit our FOS goal. That's going to be important. And then deliver an amazing program to 5,000 youth. That's all of our regional events that most districts play a part of. I think every district plays a part of. Day camps, regional events, and our summer programming. Those are our overarching goals for the council. Now, we have, and we've been putting out at a district level scorecards to kind of show you where you stand relative to goals. I want to recognize some districts real quick relative to that. And you just want to raise your hand, even in our satellites. Feel good about raising your hand on some of these. These are some big goals. Manpower, the best I was able to look at it and consistently leading the charts with the least amount of vacancies on your key district positions was Wapiti District. So congratulations, Brian, and Wapiti District. Brian's here today. Great Meadows. So Paul Loxley and Great Meadows, congratulations. You two led on the manpower. Yeah, that's good. One of our key components, as you heard Dave mention, schools. y'all heard me mention that was a big opportunity, but we had one district that recruited from more elementary schools this past fall, just one. So that tells you it was across the board. We got to pay attention to our schools. But that was Lincoln Trail. So congrats, General Barron, Lincoln Trail, and Josh is here with us. I think there. Uh, Membership, that's a big focus of ours. A lot of district success there. Four Rivers led the way with 9% growth as a district in our Paducah area and surrounding counties. So congrats, Four Rivers. Yeah. Lincoln Trail. Obviously they have more schools, so you would think they'd be on the list, was next at 2%. And then we had, so congrats, General Barron and Josh and the team there leading, and Paul Frederick. Here, the next three were right around that 1% mark. So Wapiti, Great Meadows, and Seneca District, our largest district. So congratulations to all of those districts. Well, no, I would have to look. Buffalo Trail is pretty close. I don't know who finished larger. We'd have to look at that. Camp, we had a growth of 25% on our day camp. That was one of our focuses. We had a couple of districts far exceed, but the numbers can be deceiving because I still see opportunity. But let's celebrate the success. Seneca and Wapiti had a lot of growth. 74% in Seneca, and Wapiti like 500%. But again, they went from 9 to 58, so deceiving on percentages. But it sounds really good, but there's still a lot of kids out there. And then Lincoln Trail, I had a 5% growth. And again, Buffalo Trail 14 on day camp. So congratulations there. Here's a stat that I didn't like looking at is our in-council summer camp. As great as Mr. Donauer is going to talk about some of our growth in camps. Our in-council summer camp program was down across the board. There wasn't one district to celebrate. So let's pay attention to that, folks. We got to support our camps. That's tied to a lot of what we do around here. We got to support them. So no district was up. So let's pay attention to where we could really improve. And then a couple of others. Finance, you heard me mention, so just real brief to stay on track. Family, those districts that exceeded family goal helped the council get to our family FOS goal. We had a $241,000 mark that we hit. Most I could ever remember raising our council for family. So congratulations. I think Seneca District led the way, almost 80,000 in Seneca District. So congratulations, Seneca. And Seneca also hit 115% of that goal. So congratulations. And all districts really performed well. Four Rivers, Great Meadows, Wapiti, Lewis, and Clark all succeeded and achieved goal. Camp cards, we had four districts that far exceeded what they sold the previous year that I wanted to mention: Great Meadows, Seneca, Buffalo Trails, and Lewis and Clark. So congratulations to you. And then popcorn, we only had two districts. I'm going to give it to Wapiti because it had to be wrong because you're $27 short of an 80,000 goal, Brian, and I will buy $27 if that's the case. So you're at 100%, my friend. So Wapiti, I'm referencing Brian Bodenhammer, the district chair for Wapiti, who's here. So, but Seneca also achieved goal on popcorn. So congratulations to those two districts. Excited for what 2025 brings. I'm going to be here all day, folks, facilitating online and with our different presenters. But appreciate everything you do. And if I could help you, you know where to find me.
Thank you, David. Jeff, we'll turn it over to you without further ado.
Sure.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you today. My name is Jeff Calabrese. I'm the membership chair. I'm also the dad of a second-class scout in Troop 327 in the Seneca District. I'm starting my second year in this position, and I learned a lot in my rookie season. I learned to be especially grateful for our professional staff and volunteers and the work they put in day after day, on weekends, at night, taking calls and texts from parents and everybody else. And that includes many of you in this room and on the call today. So thank you very much for making scouting such an important part of your life. thank you for bringing others along. That's really what my report is bragging about, the work that you all do. My goal today is to just help get us on the same page today, reviewing where we've been, review a few of our focuses, and what we need to do in the coming year to hit the goals. Starting point, whenever we talk about membership, is this. We will prepare every eligible youth in America to become a responsible citizen and a leader guided by the Scout Oath Law. It's universal, it's everyone. And that's because what we have to offer is universally valuable and positive for every youth and for every community. It is a simple charge, but it is not an easy charge. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is still not. Sorry.
I will, or you just know when you want to advance.
2024 was another strong year for the council. We had 1.5% growth in registered youth year over year. We had unit growth for the first time since 2019. We added 25 new units. We have had now 3 years of consecutive growth, and that cumulative rate over 3 years, 2022, 23, and 24 is 33%. And as David said, that is excellent. That puts us in the very top group, sort of tier of councils in the US. We have had growth in leaders, which is encouraging. And our growth was across all populations, with great increases over the last 3 years in both with girls and with minority scouts. Here is just a side-by-side comparison for y'all to look at, broken down by program. You will note that we are up in every area except Scouts BSA. Go to the next slide. This is an interesting stack chart. So this list is just the councils across the county that had 3 years of consecutive growth from 22 to 24. So this is sort of the Navy SEALs of Scouts councils. We are ranked 10th in this elite group when it comes to sort of growth rate. We are second of the 200 level council class. Those are medium metro areas. The only council we're behind in this regard is the Jacksonville, Florida council. Another interesting stat from this sheet, the raw number of youth that we have added in the past 3 years also ranks in the top 10 nationally, that 2,068 number here. Another interesting point of information from this chart, of these 10 councils, 9 of them also had unit growth. So when David referred before to a formula for growth, units are a necessary part of that. And I think that data point from this chart bears that out. So all of these 2024 figures are good, and we should all feel pretty good about where we are coming out of sort of this immediate, we're now kind of in the medium term out of COVID and trying to figure out, feel around for where things are and how things are going to be. Okay, we'll go to the next page. But as David put on, we're not done yet. We have good momentum. We want to keep it up. We want to ramp it up. We want to keep the positive momentum going. Very broadly, we want more scouts of all types, of all populations. We want more units. We want to be in places that we have never been. We want to be in places that we were but are not now, and we want to be sure that if there's an overloaded unit, that we can help them by, you know, branching off, creating new ones. We want people that once we do the hard work of recruiting them into Scouts, we want them to stay in Scouts. We want to retain them. We want them to continue to be engaged. And we want to bring Scouts to every community. We're also always looking for people who want to serve on district and council committees. You all, the people who have taken the time to come to this, do so much. But you know, it helps to have more hands to lighten the load. So another thing I'd ask about these priorities, you know, these are evergreen in some ways. David Sykes and I will be convening a subcommittee soon to really examine the past few years, what we're doing in light of post-COVID, how's it worked, what isn't working, what can we do for changes. If anybody has a real passion for analysis and wants to get into that with us, let us know. We'd welcome your help. Okay, just drilling down a little bit more for our 2025 goals. We have some of these David touched on. We have a 40 new unit goal in 2025, units of all types, packs, troops, crews, and teams. We're going after 3,000 new youth to join Scouting America this year. We aren't particularly focused on any part of that. Balanced growth is really what we're after. We want to be more diverse and get closer to the vision I mentioned before, bringing Scouts and all the good it does to every eligible youth. One success that we had in 2024 was the start of a subcommittee focusing on girls and girl troops, and giving support for a limited, interesting sort of pilot program that we've run for combined or co-ed troops. Jennifer Washburn is one of our great leaders in Western Kentucky who really stepped up to help that committee. We have in the past few years designated certain outreach units to receive financial assistance with dues, and we're going to just review that program this year, make sure it's doing what we intended it to do, and that the units that we've selected are still in need of the help that we've designated. This goes to being a good steward. Our outreach committee, chaired by Tiffany Caldwell, is excellent. They are resourceful. They have a lot of great partnerships in Louisville and other parts of the council, and we will continue to work with them to sort of hit these diversity goals. The next two slides, I just want to take a second. These are some trends that David Sykes was able to pick out for us, and really just, you know, sometimes a picture says 1,000 words on some of these points. This is sort of a long-term trend picture of packs and troops. And this is from a council level. If you would like to see this data from a district level, it should be in the folders that are linked by the QR codes in your agenda sheets. And I think there's a lot of other documents that'll be helpful for you in those folders. This is another good chart. This is from 2020 to the present. The bottom line is leaders. That shows modest growth. The middle line is units, and the top line is total members. And I think that this chart sort of lays out, again, the formula. If you have leaders and you have units, you will have growth. And so, you know, those are the ingredients that will hopefully lead to the result that we want. Here is our committee structure. We have various working groups and subcommittees here, and a lot of partnerships. Membership is not it's not something we can silo to one committee. It really is a whole council function. We need a lot of help and we need a lot of resources from these groups to drive the membership numbers. And of course, membership, more people is valuable to all these other groups, the people you'll hear from today, to reach their goals. Without the people, it's hard to raise money. Without the people, it's hard to have folks staff and run great and enjoy great profit, those sorts of things. So there's a really good symbiotic relationship. We are always looking for good people who are willing to serve. If you know someone in your community, parent, volunteer, school staff, anyone who's really predisposed to help with what we do, who would be good in thinking about how to bring people into the cause, please talk to them. Let us know. We'd love to have them. I mentioned earlier our Girls in Scouting Subcommittee is one of our successes, and I want to focus just a few more minutes here. In 2024, we got this council up and running again with Jennifer. She's a great leader. If you don't know her, she's already sort of shepherded at least 3 Girls to Eagle. So she's good. She knows what she's talking about. She knows the unique dynamics of this group. The committee has met a few times to connect girls troop leaders, share information and experiences. The committee's also been involved in supporting 7 of these co-ed or combined troops that are in a pilot program throughout the district that National is studying. That pilot program runs through July. And then there's a 3 or 4 month period by which National is going to take the information it learns from that pilot to decide whether that option, i.e. those combined troops, will be something that will be offered in the future. And again, of course, that combined troop is just one way to do scouting. There will be all male troops, there will be all female troops, and then possibly there will be this co-ed option. Going forward, we're really going to focus on girls earning their arrow of light at pack level, and then trying to take good care to be sure they find the most suitable girl troop home in Scouts BSA. I think that has been a sort of leak point and that we want to try to address. So if you know, again, someone who's interested in this subcommittee, please let us know. This is our tentative meeting schedule. As always, there will be a Zoom component. In fact, most of them may be Zoom only. The first meeting will be discussing
John, I haven't
and
heard anything yet from him. I was saying a note a few minutes
we'll
ago.
be discussing and approving a membership plan for the council executive board to consider. That's something we've got to do every year. Our other subcommittees, of course, will be meeting throughout the year. You can go to the next slide. I have a few asks now, just a few action items that I'd ask for you to keep top of mind that I need your help with. First is renewals. This is a very big key right now in this, like now through April, because we will start having our signups from fall 2023 start to drop off our books. You know, those they're on for a year. We're given a 90-day grace period. So if you signed up in fall of 2023, the period ended at the end of 2024, and now that 90-day grace period is starting to end. So people are starting to fall off books unless we get them renewed in timely fashion. So I know it has been, there's been bumps in how it's been implemented from National, and we've done our best to try to work with that. But please be sure that you give this process your best attention with good organization, and that you got people that you can count on that are really working with units to get on it. It is much easier to retain a scout than it is to recruit a new one. Your district committee, this is also so important. We need these positions in every district to be effective. There's just no replacement for having local people who know the terrain, know the schools, know the parents, know the dynamics of the community to help us here. We need people to especially help with what I'll call the ground game. These areas where, getting us recruiting outside of our normal recruiting times and places. Identifying PACs that have active summer programs. Looking and trying to find troops that are willing to support fifth grade recruitment. And then these Arrow of Light crossovers, again, that's so important, is making sure that those fifth graders understand how much fun they're going to have. And making sure their parents understand that it is something their family can do. And it is unique. It's different. It's a different offering than youth group or sports or other things that they have. It's just such a key point where I feel like parents are looking at, okay, we did this. What do we want to do going forward? School relationships are critical. I mean, we need to get very local and very specific about where we need to go and who we need to talk to in these schools. As David mentioned, we fell short this year in terms of touching point with schools. And they're busy. They got a lot on their plate. You've probably read teachers have so much going on. There's a lot being put on them. And so the principals and superintendents are probably correctly guarded about the time that they share. But this, as we all know, this is such a good add-on to the educational experience. It is worth the time. And so that's really sort of where we need your help. I will leave my last slide here before we turn to comments and questions. I want to leave you with one other bit of good sort of late breaking news. In previous years, WellCare, the health insurance company, has agreed to pay the registration costs for their Medicaid members to join Scouts. They will cover the fee. And I'm happy to let you all know that Anthem and United Healthcare have also now agreed to do this. This is great. This is a win-win. They get to help their members save some money. We get new folks in our organization, and their insureds hopefully get to live a healthier life. So this will be launched in the next few weeks. But that's my report this morning, and now I'd like to just open it up to questions, comments. What's going on in your neck of the woods? What's working? Yes, sir.
Is that across the board, or is that specifically Kentucky?
That's a great question. The question was for the Medicaid fee payment, if that was just Kentucky or Indiana, and I'm going to defer to Mr. Sykes.
Yeah, we're going to reach out. I think it was Jacob. We're going to reach out to and see if we can form the same relationships in Indiana, and of course we have our friends in Tennessee and Illinois. But this is a great question.
It's not set or it's set to none, but you can check.
Clarity, it is for the state of Kentucky.
Okay, so just for those on the call, this is for Kentucky at the moment, but David's going to work hard to see if we can get the same benefit elsewhere. Mike?
How does the PAC areas?
The question is whether what our PAC and Scout enrollment like in 2019, i.e. pre-COVID, and how does that set the stage for where we are now? I think I have an idea, David. I'll again, my thought is that it was higher. And we are still trying to, we're working our way back up to pre-COVID. But
And Mike, great question. So just so I understand, I think I'm going to answer you correctly. Pre-COVID Cub numbers and Scouts VSA numbers, we're nowhere close. Nowhere close to it. However, I blame COVID for a large part of that. You got to think we were not in our schools. Our council typically averaged around 3,700 youth added in the fall, historically, going back 8 to 10 years. We had 2 years. Well, 2020, I could tell you, 0. You go, I mean, from any business, imagine your incoming customers going from on average 3,700 to zero. Our next year, we lit the world on fire and got 300. 2021, if you remember, we weren't out of COVID locally. And so it was not a good 2-year stint. And we, at one time, Mike, had over 10,000 Cub Scouts, and we're reporting, but we're approaching 9,000 total youth. I think we are serving over 9,000 if you count Adventure Camp and the good work we're doing in Adventure Camp with special needs. But where we're at, and from a growth strategy standpoint, at some point, and I'm preaching to a business mind, you can't keep looking back pre-COVID because, as all of you know, there's many other factors that impacted us besides COVID, whether it be fees, whether it be staffing, whether, bankruptcy, thought, climate. I mean, it's all ties together to where we're at. But the good news is our trajectory is going up, and that's where we want to keep. Great questions.
One thing that would be helpful, I think, for the units, I don't think we have a way of knowing when our scouts renewal is up. We don't know ahead of time. We find out that the renewal's up when they drop off our roster. Then we have to put them back on. It would be very helpful to have heads up as to when they're going to come off our roster.
Thank you. That's a great comment. And for those on the call, it would be very helpful if units had a heads up for when their scouts renewal, when their membership was going to expire and when they needed to renew. And that communication and that organization piece is challenging.
We'll strengthen from a council standpoint. Kylie Barron, our marketing director, did a great job internally to beef up the national communications that individuals should be receiving. We beefed it up internally. I know the individuals. I'll see if we can strengthen the council communications to unit leaders, but there is a way that unit leaders can go into the renewal system and pull up the expirations for your members.
I think chairs get email. I know committee chairs get email because I get ours.
Yeah, you get an email. So we'll look
Monthly when they're expiring as a committee chair.
Same here. But we'll also look at, and I was literally talking to Hannah, Dan. She has about, I want to say 30, probably 20 units to where we feel comfortable that she's caught up from the influx of units that came in at the end of the year due to expirations. And Hannah has about 20 units, I think, to process on her desk, roughly. And then I was going to let her process those the first part of the week. We've already talked about it. And then we're going to get a unit key 3 communication out to everyone based on the renewal. And I'll make sure we include some instructions for what you're talking about, just to make sure that our unit leaders get that.
David, also through myscouting.org, you can run on the roster section of that, you can run membership about to expire. And so you run it whenever you're interested in seeing it. It's there. I did a little demonstration for district chairs along that line, but depending upon your level of access, you could run it for the district, you run it for a unit. If you have council level, you can run it for the council. Drew's got a question.
Word of comment. I mean, this is something I know that literally all unit leaders across the council have been dealing with. We're all not still, I think, we're in what we should be doing. It seems like there's a lot of bleeding going on. To stop the bleeding, could we maybe form a subcommittee and through that subcommittee get the right information out, have some folks working with national as needed so that we don't continue to experience this going forward. This is just a thought, recommendation. Happy to be part of it as well.
Drew, thank you. The comment was that it would be very helpful and useful to have a subcommittee that could coordinate between national, the units, everyone involved, so that there is less confusion and we can succeed on this because it is going to drive membership. Yes.
Paul sent me some questions from Central City.
Okay.
He would like me to ask them. One of which is, how can we get more help with getting registrations completed earlier?
Okay, question is, how can we help with getting more registrations processed earlier? And that's for, if that, well, you probably don't.
Completed, not necessarily processed.
Okay,
How can we
completed.
get more help getting them completed.
clarify on that, I think, no, my district's having trouble, with advancement. Some of the scouts we've added, we cannot get them registered timely. So we're stuck trying to advance them, can't advance them in the system until that it's caught up. Again, this is an age-old issue, I think, it's been forever. But, I think something needs to be looked at, particularly if we start to grow very rapidly.
I love the idea of the subcommittee approach, very focused. I think we should get the commissioners involved with that subcommittee. Jeff, make sure we bring that to your boss. I love that concept. I also know, as we're reviewing our council strategies to support the units, we're also reviewing our internal processes, which will be and should be a part of that group. As a part of that subcommittee, and I think that'll address some of the internal processing, and how we could streamline some of that. We most recently, I mean, just little things you don't see, but, we most recently changed internal process to save Hannah about 45 minutes, times 2 or 3 a week, just by tightening up a process internally. So we're continually trying to look at that, but hey, we got some brilliant minds, not only in this room, but in our other 2 locations I would love to tap into to help us. That would be awesome.
So there's a question I think will be more for you as well. And they said, is there a way National can add healthcare discounts to online registrations? So I know we talked about that with our.
Yeah, sometimes, I could give you a lengthy response to what I know the answer is no.
So we are gonna put it on our outreach form.
Yeah, so I could give you the next level question, or to the next level to tell you what we are gonna do to make it easier and streamlined. Thank you, Sarah. That's at the district director moment. Sarah Rathburn with Seneca, just recently promoted. Congratulations again. We have Grayson too, our district director in Southern Indiana, recent promotion. So, awesome. But what we'll do is on our financial assistance forms, we're actually going to include the logos. I've already got United's. We're going to get WellCares. We're going to include a little box. And this is an internal process. Small things make big moves sometimes. But before anybody submits something to the council for us to take out of our coffee pay, you better believe we're going to be asking the main question now. Do you have United, WellCare, or Anthem Medicaid insurance? And they're going to check a box on our financial assistance. And yes, and that'll give us a point of follow-up even with those companies if they're requesting something in the way of uniforms and camp cost, or they haven't promised that stuff. But you better believe if I got 10 or 15 of them in my hand, I'm going to be approaching those companies. But they did promise to pay for the membership and made that commitment. And so we'll be following up based on those requests as well.
Their last question was related to this also, and it was, is Anthem and United Healthcare only for Medicaid, or is it all coverage?
Medicaid.
I think Anthem may be out of the picture.
Yeah, I need to follow up. They haven't followed up with me, so that might explain it, Drew. So Drew made the comment, Anthem might be out of the equation. I'm in the process of following up. One of the things I needed some leeway on is making sure that everybody is still a go, but the plan was to launch it this month. And if we obviously need to update it with that info of Anthem, but we'll make sure we update y'all. But right now, we're going into the year with those 3 companies that have committed.
All right. Thank you all very much again. Appreciate you all's work and good questions. Thank you.
Give Jeff a hand. Jeff, thank you very much. Excellent as always. And thanks for those questions from the remote locations. Keep those coming. Make sure that we get those in. Now, my great pleasure to have David Donauer come up. As Jeff mentioned, he can recruit membership, but once the members are here and in, sometimes they're going, now what do we do? How do we get involved? What's our options? So David.
Thank you very much. I got to thinking when he had the slide a couple of slides ago of the building, you've got the columns of advancement and program and membership and training holding up the roof. It almost looked kind of like an umbrella. And I kind of think that the program is kind of like the umbrella of scouting, because we we're broad and we cover a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that make up, if you ever looked at underneath an umbrella, all the spokes and all the rings and all the stuff that makes it work. And that's kind of what program is. We've got camp. Camping for Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, or Scouts BSA. We got High Adventure, which is camping too, but in a different form at Philmont, Summit, Sea Base, and Northern Tier. We collect food in November for Scouting for Food. We're always in the training mode and always training, thanks to, and our Ron Corbett will tell you about that shortly. And we're always trying to advance, and that will be a separate report by Mike Berger here shortly. We've got a great aquatics program, especially at Pfeffer Scout Reservation. We've also got an aquatics program at Crooked Creek. We're blessed to have a really good shooting sports program at all of our camps, especially Crooked Creek and Pfeffer, run by Jerome McNair. Let me stop for a second. We are really blessed in this council to have 3 camps. And I say that because we had a meeting the other day. We invited some people from National to come and inspect our camps. And it's a guy, the leader was a guy named Sal out of New York, and he had a guy from St. Louis, somebody, I can't remember where the other 2 gentlemen were from, but they spent basically a day or almost a day at each of our camps and looking at them, not just from a safety point of view, but just from a national point of view of how well does your camp do compared to the camps around you, other camps or whatever. One of the things they gave us the preliminary report on Wednesday. One of the things that they were adamant about was for a council your size, you basically should have 2 camps. You've got 3. You're out of the ordinary in that regard, because most councils can't afford 3 camps, but we have 3 camps and we use the 3 camps well. And it's something that, we take it for granted, but we don't realize how lucky we are to really have 3 camps, and each of them have different aspects that we can use. We have a cope course and a climbing course at all 3 camps. We have the bigger ones at Crooked Creek with the true cope course, but we do have some stuff, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We have international scouting falls under our umbrella. And thanks to Steve Driver, that's a program that we have. It's not large, but it's important. We have ecology and conservation with Stephen Collette, which is a critical part of scouting, especially with Leave No Trace. And of course, last but not least, our Order of the Arrow program, currently being run by Scott Skis and his staff.
Whoops.
Go too far.
Yeah, back up one. There you go.
Sorry. Okay, so back in 2024, this last year we just finished. Unfortunately, our Cub Scout weekends shrank by 14%. And you think, okay, we got all these new Cub Scouts in. Why aren't they going to camp? Why are we shrinking? Well, it's a kind of a timing issue. We got a lot of scouts signed up in late October, November, December. And by that point, a lot of the programs that we have for the fall, for the Cub Scouts had already happened. So hopefully we can keep those scouts in, keep those Cubs in the full year so that next fall and this spring, if there's events that they can go to, it's kind of it is a timing issue. The new families you join, you're overwhelmed already as a new scouting family. And the fact is, it's like, even if there was an event that next weekend, it's too much too soon to go to. So the earlier we recruit, the better off we are, but that's not always the case. Our Scouts BSA weekends grew by 2%, and that's including Shoot-a-Palooza, because Shoot-a-Palooza at Pfeffer, and at Crooked Creek bring a lot of scouts for those weekends. Our Cub Scout Day Camp grew by 9%, which is great. Our summer camp program, thanks to Dan Sturzel, who's sitting here with part of that grew by 9%. Our Scouting for Food program, who's run by Lisa Landers, we were up 11% over last year and 12,000 more items collected this year than 2023. And our youth protection, we're at 93.6, which is kind of a odd spot, especially with the fact that it used to be when we would always renew at the end of the year, December. Now it's kind of a rolling renewal, and it's kind of the paperwork's not caught up with the renewal type. But we're generally running anywhere between 98 and 100% of our scouts being youth, or our scout leaders having youth protection training and being certified every 2 years. So our 2024-25 trends is, as I said, the Scouts BSA camp is up 9%. Part of the problem is that, especially I'll talk about Pfeffer first. Pfeffer is on a kind of a cyclical nature of who goes to Pfeffer. There's a lot of troops in Four Rivers and that area that will go every year. I've heard it said that at a meeting a couple of years ago, one of the district leaders in Four Rivers stood up and said to everybody in his district, basically, if we don't go, if we don't keep this camp going, who knows if they'll keep it, who knows if they'll sell it. We've got to use it to make it work. And that's the key. You got to use it to make it work. We do have a lot of troops that go from this area down to Pfeffer, not every year, maybe every 2 years, maybe every 3 years, which is encouraged. Surprisingly, we have a lot of troops from St. Louis that come over every 2 years, every 3 years. And the funny part is, one of the guys on this committee from National, who was from St. Louis, said, in the St. Louis area, if you draw a big circle around St. Louis, there's 9 camps they can go to. But the cool part is, they're willing to drive 2.5 hours to get to Pfeffer, because we got things they don't. We've got, Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley in our sailing program and our aquatics program that a lot of camps would give their left arm for, but they don't have it, and we do. Crooked Creek, we're on a lot of our troops, especially the ones in the metro area, seem to be on a kind of a 2-year cycle. They'll go to Crooked Creek 1 year, then go to another camp, maybe outside of the council, or maybe Pfeffer, or somewhere else completely different in the odd year. But if we can get them to try to come at least maybe 2 years and then off a year, or even every year, would be great. Our Cub camping, we had 1,974 weekend people, scouts come to our event camping, which is an oddball. It sounds almost like a wood badge course, 1974, but that's another story. Not to say, and it does not include district and unit camping, because when you go on your own for your own district event or your own unit, we don't count those numbers. We're just counting the ones that come when it's a council-sponsored event. When we do it for scouts, we had 717 scouts come, and that also doesn't count district and council. But it does count like Klondike Derby, Shoot-a-Palooza, the Navigator Challenge, all those different programs that the council sponsors at these camps are counted in these numbers. So our aquatics program, and it's run by Sean Sievers down at Pfeffer. We had 60 youth in 2023. We had 86 youth that we served in 2024. We've got 83 already signed up, and it's only it's the first day of February. So we're on a good trajectory for this program. We've increased the number of weeks for this aquatics program down there to 6 weeks. So there, I think there's what, 8 boats that they take out. So that's, you know, you can do the math. We can take the 86, 83 that we have plus many more. We are blessed to have a great shooting sports program. We've got shotgun, we've got archery, we got BBs. We've got the Shootapalooza for September 6th at Crooked Creek and 27th of September at Pfeffer. And I put this in here now just to let you know, and I thought it was funny when I was looking over my notes. I thought, okay, we got Shootapalooza and then we got first aid. Hopefully those two don't have to necessarily go together, but they're both on the same page. So we've got CPR and wilderness first aid training, which I know a lot of our leaders need, especially if you're going to go to camp. The end of this month, 21st and 22nd at Crooked Creek, and then end of April right here at the Scout Center. So, as I said before, we're blessed to have, or are fortunate enough to have a COPE program and a climbing program at all 3 camps. The low ropes course for climbing and COPE is at Pfeffer and at Tunnel Mill, and we've got a high ropes course at Crooked Creek. They're all under the direction of Denny James and his committee. He's been on that for years and doing a wonderful job. I would highly encourage you, because you all are the leaders that make the decisions that can influence your units. Take advantage of our COPE and our climbing courses. They're a week-long program during summer camp if you want to do that, or you could do it for a weekend. They are available. We do have the staff that will come out and be with you to run the course, but we just need, it's there. The cost is not that much, but it's a great team building exercise. It's a great experience for your youth to bring them together. It was funny because I've always referred to COPE as COPE, and I'm like, what does it stand for? Challenging Outdoor Personal Experiences, which is kind of like, that's cool. So use that as a team building or as a bonding event for your youth, for your scouts. We need, and some of you all may already be trained as level 1 and level 2 leaders, but we need more leaders to be involved with that program so that it could be. Right now, we've got 8 directors. There always has to be a director if you're running a COPE program, not necessarily there at the COPE climbing structure itself, but somewhere on camp. More than likely, they're going to be helping out with the actual program, but they've got to be somewhere within arm's reach at camp during that process. Otherwise, you can't do it. We've got COPE directors, which is kind of a misnomer because 2 of them are counting the guys that we had at camp last summer that actually came from Lexington. But we've got 6 in our council that we have. 4 of them are up for renewal this year. And for the renewal process, they have to go to COPE school, which is a week-long program held at a different camp. We've tried to have them come here and run the program, but they'll have to go to Tennessee. So if you've got the inclination or the time, sign up we can train you to be a COPE level 1 and level 2 leader here under our directors. But if you want to be a director itself, you would be more encouraged to do that. Please think about it and go to school this summer in Tennessee. One of the programs that we have that kind of under the radar, and I say that not meaning that to be funny, but is our international scouting program and our Jamboree on the Air. and thanks to Mr. Steve Driver over here, we have it happens primarily in October at Tunnel Mill. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Venturers, they have games, they have merit badges, they talk to over the internet or over shortwave to scouts around the country and around the world. It's been a great program for years. We also have our Messenger of Peace and the Peace Light program, and I'm sure Steve would love to tell you about those at some point, but it's part of the World Scouting program. And we bring the Peace Light is flown over from Jerusalem in usually like late November, early December, and then transferred around the country. And Steve's always been a keeper of the Peace Light, and will share it with you and your troop if you would need to do that, or feel free to do that. He would love to help you out in that. World Jamboree, we have, and I guess probably since COVID, but COVID's over and we're beyond that. There is a World Jamboree training session or session this summer at Philmont. He's hoping to try to get there. What we're planning for, though, or what we'd like to plan for, is there's a World Jamboree in Poland in 2027. They're every 4 years, and the next one coming up is in Poland in 2027. So we're trying to get people or a contingent to possibly go to that, which would be a great experience for those. But not least is our Order of the Arrow. So our Order of the Arrow membership, as far as registered members, is 160 people, about 60% youth and 40% adults. They have 5 induction weekends planned for this year, 2 at Crooked Creek, 2 at Pfeffer, and 1 at Tunnel Mill. They have a spring powwow planned at Tunnel Mill, all fellowship at Pfeffer. They have a traderee coming up, and I'll bring this up because in the middle of March, to trade patches, trade memorabilia, trade whatever out at Crooked Creek in the dining hall. I bring that up because if you have scouts that are working on stamp collecting merit badge or coin collecting merit badge, which ties in because of some of the stamps and coins that'll be at the traderee, they can come out to the event for free and work on their merit badge there during the day at the traderee. So it's kind of an added benefits. And one of the things that they put in last year was, if you've been through Wood Badge and you know what the troop guide is when you were a participant and how they kind of helped you out, guide you through there, they've got a program that they're setting up with troop guides for the new people that are joining OA, because it can be kind of overwhelming, all the stuff that you need to learn and all the history and all the meanings of the different things. So they've instituted some sort of a program with troop guides for those people. Is that what?
In the back, it might have been a little bit.
Okay. I didn't, unfortunately, I've got some program notes from Scott as far as what their goals are for this year, for 2025 for Order of the Arrow. One of the things that they're trying to do is they have a program where they actually judge or grade themselves on how well their program's doing, the PMP, Performance Measurement Program. Last year, when they filled out all the forms and did everything, they were 1 point shy of being high achieved, the highest goal that they could get to, only because it was a matter of a timing issue, and they're aware of it now. So the part of their goal this year is to reach the high performance level of their PMP. The other thing is that they're quite proud of this is they have redone the ceremony ring at Crooked Creek to make it completely handicap accessible. They moved the ring, rerouted how you get there, the road system and the whatever, so that it's completely handicap accessible, anybody with a wheelchair, anybody with a walking difficulty, and whatever, just to make it better for everybody. So they're quite happy with that. They have a new fire ring that points north. And if you're a part of the Arrow, please come out and check it out. One of their other goals is to redo the fire ring at Pfeffer. Is one of their goals this year. So that's the last thing. So where we need help and what you can do, if you would, is sign up for summer camp at Crooked Creek or Pfeffer if you haven't already. And if you're trying to consider where you may be going this summer, please consider our camps. We need you to come and enjoy them and use them because they're here for you. It makes them function better. I mean, the whole reason we have the camps is to use them. And financially, we need you there, and physically, we need you there. Also, not only for summer camp, but come the other 10 weeks of the year, or the 10 months of the year. Take advantage of our COPE program and our climbing program. Take advantage of our shooting sports and the shooting sports training program. Consider exploring our international scouting program with Steve. And if you're not a member of OA, consider having OA or having an OA call out weekend at your troop or your pack and join OA. Any questions? Any comments? Any?
Cool thing is we could pass the mic around
Uh, David, did you want to mention regional events? Is that here?
Oh, yeah, regional.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Last but not least, where's my, no, sorry. So we put this spreadsheet in here to talk about some regional events, and I'm going to stand back for just a second now that I got the microphone. David sent this out a couple of days ago for us to just to let you all know that from a council and from the backside, so to speak, of all the events that we're doing throughout the council for the year, there's a method to their madness. As far as how many people they're expecting, what do they have to go through before an event? It's not like you just say, okay, next weekend we're going to do whatever, and you wing it. There is a definite process that they go through to make these events happen, and certain guidelines and criteria that they're looking for as far as number of people, things that they need to work on beforehand, who's in charge, how they're going to get the word out, how they're going to measure their success after the event of how many people showed up. And there's a couple of different spreadsheets that
Should it? You don't probably work right.
did you put? So it's just the one, so it's just to let you know that there's more to what you see than what you think. David, you want to, any comments on that?
These goals for the regional events, and we're working through these, but these regional events, everything's interconnected in scouting. But if you think about the overarching goal, we said the 5,000 youth going to camp, regional events, day camps, everything camping. The regional events play a part of that. And we have to start with trying to grow that, but our budgets are tied to all of these as well. So in this one goal of trying to lead these events, we're touching so many different things, developing the relevant programs, we're touching the budgets, financial sustainability. We don't want to run events in the hole, and some of these events are budgeted to make money, and especially some of our camping operations and whatnot. So it's tied to the financial sustainability, but it's also tied to our retention. We're getting all these young people out, as Dave mentioned, especially those new families out to their first event. we made a strategic decision 2, 3 years ago, to have all those Cub Scouts get the adventure tickets. We'll be reviewing that again as part of the subcommittee, subcommittees probably now that we're putting together. But these events are important not only for the local momentum for scouting, but it ties to so much. So if your district and or executives assigned to one as a staff assignment, we really need to rally around them and build the successful teams to put these events on. And a regional event, the key is, I would really love to get to the point that, yeah, this district might be taking the lead on it, but they're partnered with the 2 or 3 surrounding districts. This truly is a regional event. We don't want to get into that trap, and I've seen districts get into it where this unit's doing the camporee. The problem with doing it, and that's the same thing we could fall in the trap on a district level. The problem with doing it that way is it's not sustainable. And you're retraining a crew every year. You're not building that team concept, the committee concept. So that's one way I think we can improve on these regional events. Daniel, you got anything to add to that?
Exactly what I was gonna add. So.
We have Daniel Hansen here who works with George Snipes on our program team. So if anybody needs anything, Daniel's here. Of course, I'll be here too. That's all I got on that.
Thank you very much.
Any questions, comments for David? David, one thing I think I missed, maybe it was in there, I just missed, but seems like High Venture's also a big part of the program with Philmont and Seabase and the Summit and Northern Tier, and seems like we run contingents from time to time, council wise. And certainly another opportunity for youth and adults to take a part of. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks. Give David a hand. All right, Dan, did you have something?
Just an acknowledgement to Head Venture. Just, we do have 2026 Philmont contingent plan. So if you have people interested in Philmont as a contingent 26, they can come, contact me. We'd be happy to get that organized and get you guys in contact with the right people.
Want to hold it?
And they prefer to vote it.
Oh, I did all that.
Yeah,
All that
exactly.
stuff, Ron. Oh, well. So,
And they prefer to vote it.
all right.
I need to look at this one a little bit.
Just build a little bit off of program, certainly appreciate it, but I think as you see, building membership, having a lot of program, you can certainly advertise all the great things that can participate in as you become a member of scouting, right? A couple things and near and dear to my heart, certainly shooting sports as of September 1 last year was renamed to range and target activities. So RATA, there are a lot of changes with that. If you're planning unit or hear of units wanting to do unit type activities like that, make sure you contact the shooting sports or RATA committee. I still call it shooting sports, obviously, but trying to make the switch. Also, please come out and enjoy amateur radio with Steve, myself. I help with that. It is neat to see kids recognize that other kids around the world participate in scouting, like pizza, do some of the same activities that they do here and just hadn't really thought about it. All right, Ron, my pleasure. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I know several of you, but I'm Ron Corbett. I'm the council training chair. Go easy on me. It's my first time here. I've been in the position for a very short time. We had our first meeting this past Wednesday as the committee. So just kind of bringing into this. I've been in scouting for about 20 years, I guess, as an adult leader, going on 21. Started as a Cub Scout leader when my son was a Cub Scout. David, I'm like you, I was a Cub Scout, but I never did transition to Boy Scouts. So I was a Cub Scout dropout. So, but anyway, scouting's been a great program. With regards to to the pieces we talked about, we're all here to make lives better for our youth, right? We're all here for scouts. We're all here to improve things. As was talked about by Jeff with regards to membership, we want to have strong membership. Obviously, to have strong membership and to keep that retention, what do we need? Train leaders, but do train leaders keep scouts coming back? What do we need? We just heard about it. We need a program, we need fun stuff, right? We want to make it fun. We need to have a good program. So that's very strong. To have a good program, now we need trained leaders. Every scout deserves a trained leader. We've heard that, right? So that's really where we're at. We want to talk about that. The training, how are we doing? And I've got some stuff to share, which we've got some room to improve. So we want to talk about that. So, don't know which button.
Oh, it is, but I think Ryan, it keeps dropping off the focus. Try again. No.
Well, there you go. It's working now. Okay, so let's talk about where we're at today. So, numbers. First thing, our YPT number is about 90% at this moment. Why is it not 100? Well, there is a little bit of a grace period that's given before we actually remove them, and we also have renewals happening. So right now, that's we're a little bit less than that is. We've got some people that have not completed their YPT because they're not renewing. So those will be coming off. That number is going to be going up. But more important, let's look at our key 3 training percentage. It's pretty low. Unfortunately, if we look at it, Cub Masters are about 38%, Scout Masters are 30%. First thing on these numbers, this does not remove duplicates, just so you know. So if you have a charter org rep, they're probably the charter org rep for 2, 3, maybe 4 units. If they're not trained in one of them, they're not trained in any of them. So these numbers are based on position, not by adult. So the numbers that I've pulled from the reports. So if we go by leader, number's probably going to go up a little bit, but it's still not where it needs to be. If we look at direct contact leaders trained, we're at 27%. Once again, that includes duplicates, but that's very low, obviously, not where we need to be. What's the reason? Last year, we were about 60%. The reason, what I believe, in September, National made a change to the way these numbers are calculated. Hazardous weather is a required training for every direct contact leader. If you're going to take scouts out camping, you need to be up to date on your hazardous weather. It's only good for 2 years. However, up until last September, it was not included in these numbers. Last September, it got included in these numbers. I believe that's the biggest reason. When we look at just kind of start picking some different leaders and start to look at them, we see a lot of them have their trainings, they have hazardous weather, but the hazardous weather has expired and they've not renewed it. So that's one of our big focuses we're going to need to do is start getting people really focused on that hazardous weather again. Any questions on that? Good.
Ron,
Go ahead, Dan.
is that one that has to be done online?
It is one that needs to be done online, yes. Yes, it needs to be done online, and youth protection also needs to be done online. Advanced training, if we look at that, last year we did have 81 scouts go through NYLT. That's a huge NYLT course. It's awesome. We got a lot of scouts get some advanced leadership training. And we had 43 adults start with badge, and actually 40 of them finished the course, walked off Gilwell on the 5th day. So that's really good too. So we had some advanced training happening as well. A lot of the districts, I don't have all those numbers, but most of the districts had trainings in the spring and the fall with regards to blue and IOLS. Great Meadows and Four Rivers had a family weekend in November where they started something. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So a lot of the units were doing different training throughout the year. If we look at what our goals are for this year. So obviously blue training needed for Cub Scout packs to go out camping. They need to have blue training. So Buffalo Trails has already had one. got another one scheduled in the fall, or gonna have one scheduled in the fall. Four Rivers, Lewis and Clark, and Wapiti all have them planned. Some of them are already scheduled for different camps. ILLS, those same four units, four districts already have those planned as well with regards to where they're gonna be doing their ILLSs. So we've already got some talks about those schedules and those trainings to happen because we need to get our new leaders trained as they're coming in as Cub Scouts. We need to get them blue trained so they can go out camping, take their packs out camping. Obviously, as leaders are transitioning to the troop level, we need to get them ILLS. So once again, they can provide a good program. Other trainings that are happening, David mentioned, we do have CPR and AED and wilderness first aid that's happening. That's another important one, obviously, especially if you start to get into some of the backcountry and you want to do some of the high adventure treks in that units. They need that. It's always good for people to have CPR and AED training, obviously, anytime, even if you're just in meetings and stuff. Family training weekend. So Great Meadows started that this past year. Some of the other districts are starting to look at that as a potential or something to do. It was their first year this year, but it was successful. They're looking to grow on that and build it. What they did is they actually offered trainings for adults, but they also offered trainings for youth. They provided, some Scoutmaster specific or Cub Scout leader specific trainings. Also offered ILST for their scouts. I think there was some merit badge stuff. There were some activities for Cub Scout aged. So a leader could show up, bring their scouts with them, and everyone had something to do that weekend. And it was beneficial. Some of the other districts are talking about, can we do something like that too, to provide that opportunity? I think some people from St. Louis, as we've heard before, they've even reached out and said they'd like to know about when it is the next time. So that was a good event at Pfeffer this past November. They're planning on doing it this coming November as well. Seneca is obviously in the middle of Lewis and Clark and Buffalo Trails, kind of in between those two. And Lewis and Clark and Buffalo Trails are already looking for blue and ILLS. Already have those plans. So Seneca's looking into what other trainings could we provide for that metro area that might be useful. So there's some talks about that as to what's another training that'd be useful. Seneca this past year did Trainer's Edge, which is a training that's important, obviously, for anyone who wants to do training and help. Trainer's Edge is a good foundation to help leaders get better at presenting and doing the training. Advanced trainings for the year. We've got a full year. So Powderhorn's kicking off in March. It is the very last Powderhorn course in the nation. Powderhorn was discontinued in 2024. We had it scheduled for fall. The council needed to move it to spring. We got an exemption from national to go on and move it and hold it in 2025. It is the last course. If you want to come, there is a waiting list. It is full. It's 87 people are signed up. 87 adults and youth are signed up to take Powderhorn. And I think we're coming from 6 different states, maybe as far away at least as Michigan coming to take the course. So we've got a strong Powderhorn course that's going to take place in March. We have 2 different NYLT courses, one at Pfeffer, one at Crooked Creek. Both are taking place the same week. So we've got a lot of opportunities to train a lot of our youth, and this obviously NYLT is trained, it's youth training youth. If you've not experienced it, if you've not seen it, it's a wonderful program. If you have scouts that are that age that are ready to take that leadership training, please encourage them, please get them to sign up. We really need both of these courses to be successful to help continue to grow our council, grow our training, grow our experiences for our scouts. Those youth leaders, when they go to NYLT, and they come back to the unit, they help really build that program at that unit level and help with that retention and that membership. And also, it helps them throughout the rest of their life. I can speak to that you won't ever talk about it. I can speak a lot about it. My son, NYLT changed his life and really made a huge impact on him and where he's at today. And then we have a wood badge course this fall. First weekend's going to be at Crooked Creek in the dining hall. The second weekend's going to be right down the street at the Leadership Development Center. It's another great program to get some of our adults some advanced leader training. Okay. So what are we looking at? Obviously, we talked about it, some of our goals. We really need to get our leader-specific training improved. We want to provide a better place for people to figure out where it's at. So Daniel and I were talking, and he's already got a thought on this. We really want to do this from the training committee. We want to have a spot on the website to where all training is shown, where you can see it. If you search for training on the Lincoln Heritage website, sometimes it's not as easy to find as maybe it should be. So we're looking for a place where it's easy to find it. All training is there. You're not having to search by district, so we'll try to get everything up there. Obviously, you don't have to take training in your district. All the training's the same. Take it at the one that works for you on the calendar and the location. Doesn't have to be your district's training. Let's get the training to everybody. We really need to emphasize hazardous weather training. It is important. Sometimes it's common sense stuff, but we need to continue to get it, to retake it, to have it reinforced so we get better at it. It becomes second nature. And we think about it, just like youth protection, obviously. We need to continue to take youth protection, even though we may go, I've taken it a lot, I understand it. It's that whole reinforcement. We need to continue with that. Hazardous weather is important. If we're taking scouts out, we need to be thinking about what are those dangers that maybe aren't second or, something that we think of immediately every time we go out camping. So hazardous weather is important. That's why it's a required course to take over and over every 2 years. We need to really continue to drive that home. We need to get people thinking about it. We need to get them taking it because we need to get those numbers back up. Every scout deserves a trained leader. So let's continue to push that. We really need to get our leader-specific training. It's a low bar, 65%. I'd really like it to be 90% or higher, but we got to start somewhere. So we're 27 on direct contacts right now. I'm hoping next year that we're going to have a huge number. We're going to be well past that 65, but we've got to start somewhere. And we're going to push for that. And then we need to work with each district to build the teams. So talking Wednesday, we have 7 districts. Only one district was able to say, I'm good. I've got really enough trainers. Every other district is like, we've got 2 people, maybe 3, and we're trying to do all this work. We need trainers. I see a lot of people in here that have been to Wood Badge. I see people that have a lot of experience. We need to recruit trainers. We need your all's help. And that's going to take me to the next piece. What can we do now? Recruit training people. We need trainers for our teams. They don't have to train every training session, but our district training chairs really need a team that they can call on. And it needs to be more than 3 people that do every training. The more people we have, the less work everyone has to do. So if everyone could help support, a training session, maybe this group can help in the spring, this group can help in the fall, this group can help somewhere else. If you know people that could help in training, please talk to them. Please talk to your district training chairs. Andrew?
Do we have any sort of inventory we collected of who can deliver what trainings across the council committees? That might be something too to look at. Don't we have that?
So the question was, do we have an inventory of who can deliver which trainings, who has which expertise or whatever? At this moment, I don't have any of that. As I said earlier, I'm brand new. I'm trying to figure it out, but that's a great idea. So we really do need to try to work to grow that. Our district training chairs may have some of that info, but they are also recruiting and struggling to get people. So sometimes it's that getting someone to step up and commit. So from the group that we're talking to today, you're all involved in all the different districts throughout this room and throughout Cross Point Church and at Pfeffer. We need your all's help to help recruit for your district training chairs, because training is very important. As we said, to have a good program, you have to have trained leaders. We need the trained leaders. Good program will come from that. And then that will bring membership, and it will bring advancement, and it will bring retention. So, yes, sir.
So Drew, I think the premise of your question is, do we have a prospective list of people based on training of who could teach what? Is that correct?
Yes, and I was even thinking, like, I know over a year ago, we had University of Scouting, and we had a lot of individuals step up to train different courses in University of Scouting. I just don't know if we retain that information anywhere.
Well,
Leveraged.
just to follow up on what Ron said, and we could help make sure Ron has it at his fingertips. But what I wrote down, I'll put it in the parking lot for you, is a prospective list of volunteers and then the way for each training. But I think the best way to have a prospective list is to know maybe in the last 2-3 years who attended those trainings, and we can make those lists readily available to you. I don't know if we have a pre-qualifying checklist that says you could now teach this, but I know a good way to develop a prospective list is to see who actually went through the training, and we can make those lists available to not only Ron as he's incoming, but based on that suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I do know, just before I came up here, I was talking to Mike Barker, and he mentioned that he had done trainer's ed, but he's never been asked to teach. So Rick, you may see if Mike wants to help.
You weren't supposed to say that out loud.
So, obviously, we need to recruit training. Advanced training opportunities, like I said, we've got 2 NYLT courses. We've got a wood badge course. Let's recruit for those. Those are great ways to grow both our youth leadership and our adult leadership. So whatever you can do to help to recruit for those courses is very much appreciated. We really want to fill these NYLT courses. It's the first time in, I don't know, it's 5 or 6 years since we've had one at Pfeffer. Is that right, Daniel? It's 2018. So 2018 is the last time we've had one at Pfeffer. We're having one at Pfeffer this year. We've got 2 great courses happening. We really would like to see both of them be very successful. We need scouts in both of them. So we're looking at needing 80 or more scouts spread out between those 2 courses. Please recruit. And then we'll continue to try to work with the commissioner staff and everyone else to help figure out, first of all, let's push that hazardous weather, get our leaders to retake that. I will admit that I got the email a month ago or so from Adrian saying, hey, I'm an ASM in Troop 346. And he said, you're not trained. And it was my hazardous weather. So I had to retake it. So I did. So there might be some of you in this room that have that same item, that same problem that you're not aware of, that your hazardous weather has been expired. And so you're not, quote, officially trained. So it can be as simple as taking that simple online course again and completing it. And then obviously we've got the Blue ILS job specific, and just trying to continue to work with the commissioning staff, the training committees, figure out where training support is, what the different units are needing throughout the districts and the council. And I think that's it for me. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Winter NYLT. Used to have them.
Yes.
A lot of our youth are very busy in the summer, and that Christmas to New Year's NYLT was very popular. And I know population has changed, but something to think about.
So the question is winter NYLT. We have had those in the past. We had them in 2018 and 2019. Right now, that's not on the books. We don't have one for this year in the winter. The winter right now, we've got the 2 summer ones. It is something that we will consider and think about. And if people are strongly if you know of people that are saying strongly, I'd like to go, but I can only go in that time between Christmas and New Year's. Because that's really when winter falls. That's the only time that really kind of fits. If you've got scouts that say that's the only time they could go and they can't make a summer one, let us know. And obviously it's something we'll consider as we look into the future for the future years. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I know the University of Scouting kind of fell off this year. Is that something we're looking at this year?
We are talking about potentially a University of Scouting. There's nothing set at this moment. I'll just say the first thing that comes up is for us to have a training, like anything else, is we have to have a chair. So if University of Scouting is going to happen right now, in 2026 or vice versa, or 2027 or whatever, first thing is we need to find someone who would lead that effort. We don't have anyone at this moment, but we're just starting that process. If you've got someone who you think might be interested in being the chair for that, talk to me, talk to Daniel about it. Please don't talk to them. And we could talk about that potential. But there's different thoughts. It could be University of Scouting. There's also these other events that we could do different things at. We do have a Merit Badge College coming up that we just added a blue training to, and I forget which district that was, Daniel, I'm sorry. Four Rivers. Four Rivers has a Merit Badge College, and they just added a blue training into that. So there's also those type of opportunities. When we have other things, could we get some trainings there? But University of Scouting is definitely something else that could be considered and talked about. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any, I didn't, anything from, Pfeffer or, Cross Point Church? No. Okay, Ron, thank you so much. I will put in a plug for, range and target activities, just like Climb On Safely. There is a new training, online training, that any unit that participates in those shooting sports, range and target activities, will have to have a unit leader who is trained in that. So it is an online training, just like hazardous weather or Climb On Safely. You have to go online, and there has to be a unit leader at that activity which has that training. Yes.
Question from Paul did come in. Will the family training weekend count as University of Scouting?
Family training weekend count as University of Scouting.
I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what that means. There's not like a requirement or something that says you have to do a University of Scouting, so.
It's for their training, not.
For the training nuts. Okay. I get it now. Thank you. We can look at that. We probably do something on that. So, yeah.
Okay. I know a few people at least have other scouting activities later today, but I think we could probably squeeze in about 5-minute break if we'd like to, bio break, and be back at 10:30, okay?
So that's one of the things that we need to know about and keep in mind about advancement. And that advancement is not an end of itself, but advancement comes along as scouts doing the things that scouts do. So if you take a look at some of the trends that we've seen. In 2024, we had 174 Eagle Scouts. Now, previous year, last year, we had 185 Eagle Scouts. Now, that's, you can look at that for any number of reasons, and I have not evaluated those reasons. Just a gauge that we do have a lot of scouts who are making it through the program and working on their way and being encouraged to reach the ultimate goal. So I'm not going to say whether 174 is low or high, good or bad, but it looks like a pretty good number here to me. Now, if you take a look at the troops, we have 180 troops in the council. In 2023, we had 186 troops, a drop of 3%. Okay, I personally know that some of these troops are struggling with membership. Some of these troops are struggling with adult membership. And, it's up to us to support them and the commissioner crew to support them any way we can. But it's just a number. 1,528 badges of rank with the troops. As opposed to 2023, we had 1,843 badges of rank, a 17% drop. Merit badges, 7,400 merit badges this past year. 2023, we had 9,000 merit badges. So we have an 18% drop in the number of merit badges this past year. We had 17 troops this year with 0 advancement. Last year, we had 14 troops with 0 advancement. So we've got even more who are not showing any advancement. Like I said a moment ago, I don't have any answers for this at this point. We're just pointing things out. Taking a look at the packs. We have 149 packs in the council. Last year, we had 146 packs. So we've increased a few. We had 2,784 advancements this past year. Last year was 3,749, a 26% drop. We had 27 packs this year with 0 advancement and 22 packs last year, or the previous year, with 0 advancement. So we're seeing quite a drop in pack advancement. I haven't had a chance to go exploring that. I know that over the years when we've had district meetings that you'll see that a lot of advancement for the packs is happening once a year. I think around the time that they're setting up for blue and gold. But these are numbers that are not encouraging. So we've got some goals here that we need to work on. Let's get back to the numbers of Eagle Scouts. The things that I've seen and things that we had attempted to do last year, one of them was to provide a unified, up-to-date guide for from Life to Eagle. Now, unfortunately, that did not happen last year. It will happen this year, a couple of reasons. One is I have the opportunity now to get more engaged in it. And the second reason, a little more important, is we now have Jeff Kessler from Troop 380 will be our council Life to Eagle coordinator. So that will be his focus. He's not going to be worried about Cub Scout advancement. He's not going to be worried about anything else. He's going to be worried about this Life to Eagle.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Can we do a quick sound check for Pfeffer? Just see if they hear you okay.
Sure.
Pfeffer, can you hear Mike okay?
Also with Pepper.
You're not?
Okay, try again.
Megan, are you with us?
I don't know if it's a microphone issue or if it's me.
I think we're using this mic now, is the problem.
So that microphone's not lit up, which means it's not getting used.
Sometimes this microphone's not happy with me. Just, okay. So the goals we have, we need a consistent council-wide Eagle Scout guide. Jeff Kessler is going to assist me in working on that. And the plan is by the end of April, we will send that out to the district advancement chairs for your evaluation. We will ask that the district advancement chairs work with their Eagle Board chairs to discuss this. I think with this, I'm trying to keep it a little simple where I don't have too many people giving me direct feedback. If I keep it to the advancement chairs, then I think it'll work out a little bit better. Looking at, we've had and had Eagle guides, like the Eagle guides. We have the one from 2018 that we put out. John Benz had put this together for us. It's a bit out of date. And we will also use for reference Navigating the Eagle process. And that was put together by Richard Rudolph, I believe, from Lewis and Clark. I want to make sure he gets credit for this. I don't think he's trying to, I think what he's trying to do is enhance the experience that comes with the guide that we had put out previously. In any case, it's our intent to come up with something that's up to date, and especially with changes in the Eagle Scout application and that sort of things, it's needed. So in any case, end of April, we'll send this out to the advancement chairs, and next possible opportunity, have an advancement meeting. My goal at this point was by the end of July. I don't think I can have an advancement meeting put one together by the 7th of February when you have your next one. But at this point, I'm kind of thinking we'll see what we can do about February 20th of having an advancement meeting, so we can discuss this a little bit more. And then, but later on, towards the middle of the summer, we want to be able to, with all the feedback, roll this out to the districts. the next thing that we want to do this, one of the big issues that we have is we have a lot of units out there who they're not sure what they're doing when it comes to Life to Eagle. We have Eagle Scout guides in the troops who don't know what the rules are or don't know how to navigate this, especially if you're in a smaller unit. We have scouts and leaders who waited to the last minute, because if you go through the ranks, and most of you all have seen how this works, it's pretty easy to navigate through the ranks up through life. And if you have youth and leaders and parents who think that Eagle is going to be as simple and as easy as that, they're not going to give it the attention that they really need to give for the amount of time that they need. And that's why you run into things like applications that are not filled out properly. Or you have projects that don't meet the standards. Paperwork that gets filled out at the last minute. And I'm serious about the last minute because I've seen that. So we need to get the youth and their parents and the troop leaders educated on what they should be doing from the time that a scout makes Life Scout. Now, whether he makes Life Scout with 6 months to go or makes Life Scout with 4 years to go, we need to get them started on that process right away. We need to work towards consistency in the Eagle boards. I've taken calls from scoutmasters who have had concerns about what they've seen on Eagle boards. I've taken calls from Eagle board chairs who might see inconsistencies in how they're doing things. And at this point, I think we need to get everybody together and go start with what are the rules? Because I've heard things that are required over the years and currently that aren't necessarily part of the rules, whether it's retesting scouts or whether it's requirements on what they're wearing, or whether it's requirements on how letters of recommendation have been handled between different Eagle boards. I'm seeing differences between those, and we need to find out what is that speed limit, so to speak, what are the requirements, and then work towards getting the council unified on that. That's pretty much what I am seeing with the Eagle boards. Now, if we take a look at Scout Book, and honestly, I haven't had that much to do with my unit directly in quite a while. I've had very limited experience in Scout Book, but what I've heard is that Scout Book is not necessarily used as widely as we might like, and we need Scout Book experts. Whether we need Scout Book experts at the unit level, somebody at each unit who's actually paying attention to how this works. Maybe we need Scout Book experts at the district level. What I do need is a council Scout Book champion. And I need somebody who can champion the program, promote the program, and help us get the word out and get this thing taught so that all the capabilities of this program are used. And this is one of those things where I'm looking for help from you guys, because you guys, especially maybe the Commissioner Corps, maybe the districts themselves may know who out there is actually using Scout Book and actually giving it a good run, and might be willing to talk to us about it. Now, let's get on to the next. So to sum things up a little bit, we have, need to recruit manpower, a Scout Book expert. An Eagle Board chair, I have that in place now. Now it's just up to me to get him up and running, and let's just start setting our date goals and getting these things going. Eagle Board committee members, typically what I've been doing, I've got, whenever something comes across my plate, I have certain advancement chairs and Eagle Board chairs who I talk to, but I need to expand that. I need to talk to more of the Eagle Board chairs that are out in the council. So that's my goal, is to have better communication with these folks so that we can all talk together and work towards the same goals. The units that have had zero advancement. Why? Do you guys have any ideas why we're having zero advancement in some of these units? That's one of those things that we're looking for. If you know units that have zero advancement, if you have ideas why they're not advancing, then we need to have discussions about that and share those comments with the commissioner staff, because we need to help those units. When you've got zero advancements, you know, back in the old days of Journey to Excellence, advancements are listed in the Journey to Excellence. It's a score. It's a scorecard for how the units are serving their youth. Now, I believe this is my last slide, but I've been asked to mention a couple of things when we're talking about the Eagle Scout application. And one of the reasons that we do need that new guide is the Eagle application has changed. And it was changed, what, last fall? December, yes. There are clarifications on how the recommendation letters are to be handled. And as I say, I've seen the recommendations and heard recommendation letters being handled differently in different districts, maybe even in different Eagle Board chairs handling them differently. We need to get back onto a unified front. Also, there are changes to merit badges, always changes to merit badges, and families who are scouts who may have started their merit badges early on think that they can finish them, but if the changes are made, they may have to make adjustments to that. So that's something that we need to talk about. I want to address something that I feel compelled to address personally. I'm a guy who likes phone calls and text messages. And I know a lot of people will send emails out. And up until this point, I have not had a lot of email communications with folks. I've got a stack of emails backing up in my Outlook right now. One of the things that I want to point out is, if you send out an email to me and it's really, really important, call me or text me and say, hey, I got an email. I've just gone into semi-retirement. And I'm telling you guys the same thing that I tell my boss. They're putting me on part-time, and I said, hey, if somebody has an email, they send me an email, I'm not necessarily going to look at that email right away. But if you send me an email and send me a text, then I'll be sure to check it out. If you send me an email and call me, I may check it out right there while you're talking to me. If it's a conversation, give me a call. There are a lot of folks except for Adrian. And I'm not so sure about Dan Sturzel either. Give me a call. You guys have an email that goes out there or a text, but there's almost always a story that goes with that. And it's a good idea for me to get that story anyway. So, like I say, I'm semi-retired now. I got a little more time to devote to you guys. Make sure you give me a phone call. I'll answer the phone. Any questions from anybody?
That have those units in their district have zero advancement, follow up with them and start.
Yes. Bob, there is, and in the Google folder we're creating for operations, we're going to use that to periodically drop the reports you're looking for in it. So if it's not in the folder today, first part of next week, it'll be in.
You wanna repeat, but
He was wondering if there's advancement reports that will tell you the units that are not advancing. The answer is yes. There's also a way, we'll give you instructions based on your permissions and your position in the district. You'll be able to pull that up yourself.
And a district, in commissioner tools, that it's also in each of the units. It'll show their camping, it'll show their service hours, all of that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. I was going to mention, stay in contact with your commissioners. I believe commissioners have access to those reports. They can run them anytime they want, and they can help you identify what those units are.
Quite often, at least in Buffalo Trails, when we have district committee and commissioner meetings, the leaders of those individual meetings will have advancement reports sitting out. I'm not always sure where they get these reports, but it's pretty easy to get a list of who's doing what, who's reported what they're doing.
Other questions? Yes.
I have a quick question. Now with zero advancement, if somebody is not using Scout Book, because that's a call out about Scout Book expertise, is there a possibility that we're not seeing the advancement because it's not reported?
Well, I'm hearing a yes.
Might repeat the question.
Thank you. The question is there, if people are not using Scout Book, is there a chance that the advancement is not being recorded properly and easily visible? And I'm getting head nodding so that, yes, Scout Book is the best way, easiest way to make sure that the council knows what's going on as far as advancement.
Zero advancement means that nothing's being reported to us. So that may mean, to your point, there's advancement happening, but they're not turning in a paper form or really the preferred method use Scout Book.
There you go. In case you didn't hear that, either the
Just, okay. Well, I want to follow up. Daniel said that zero means that's not being reported. Just recognize that if it's not being reported, the youth can really suffer down the road whenever they're trying to then apply for the next rank. And so it really behooves on all of us as trained leaders to make sure that these ranks, the advancements, everything's getting reported for that youth. Otherwise, down the road, it's going to be chaotic for them and miserable.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So since Scout Book is a national program and pushed down from Scouting America, do they not have a master train the trainer that can come visit the council, train certain people out of districts, and then we can disseminate that further? Since that, since they do make changes to it, it is a bit robust and cumbersome, but it is a national program. So if council has somebody that they can send out on a trip to come down and train a certain group of us, then we can start doing disseminations in our own districts.
I'm gonna put it on the parking lot. I love the idea of having maybe a council-wide meeting. I know Dan and he's shaking his head, yes. I love the idea of getting maybe a Zoom that we could invite a national expert or somebody in to help, or if we even have a local one. I don't know, Dan, you might be able to speak to that. I have no clue if there's a guru at the national level. I would assume they are, but, yeah.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. I haven't had that request, but it's not a bad idea. I do know that they have user forums and things, so there's a lot of the stuff that I've seen, and I was a scoutmaster early in the scout book era. There are user forums that you can ask questions and experts will respond back pretty quickly there. I don't know that they offer in-person, face-to-face, but we can look at it for sure, or a Zoom or whatever it may be. Yeah. Yep.
Hi, this is Denise at Four Rivers.
Denise with Four Rivers.
We used to get a monthly advancement report from council, and we don't get that anymore. If we could reinstate that, then we would know which units are showing zero advancement, so we could contact them personally and find out what's going on and make sure that they're using Scout Book. Could we get that reinstated?
The reports, she said we used to send the reports out and to reinstate those. We'll send more information out, Denise, on not only how your committee could look up the reports, but we'll, again, in the Dropbox for that Google QR code on your agenda, we'll drop the most recent one in there, but we're also going to give instruction in that folder of how to look it up yourself. Is that fair, Dan?
Yeah, as we say, every district advancement person should have access to run those reports, which is part of why I think we stopped sending them, because people were just pulling their own anyways. So it's kind of duplicated efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Denise.
Any other questions? Mike? I heard, maybe I heard wrong, but I'm going to ask you anyway, my question. I think you just added a first class chair also to your committee. Did I hear that correctly or not, to focus on scouts making first class?
That's one of the things we need. Thanks for the reminder. That will be added in there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it was already done. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. We have a question over here.
Life to eat.
Yeah, we had a life to eat.
Mike, I just sent you a text message. Our district does Life to Eagle briefings every November and May roundtables. And it's on our website, so you could see our briefing and let us know if there's anything that needs to be changed.
You do Life to Eagle briefings
Twice a year.
twice a year,
May and November.
May and November. Okay.
And it's on our website, so you can see what we give.
Okay.
All right, in case you can use it, making yours up, and then let us know what we need to change.
We'll take a look at that. When the Citizenship and Society came out, what was happening in Buffalo Trails was trying to get the Citizenship and Society merit badge, and at that same day, more or less right after, right before, having a Guide to Eagle or Life to Eagle session to try to give some training. So need to take a look at maybe implementing that again.
All right, thank you, Mike. Give him a big round. I have to say the unit that I'm involved with, certainly we had Life to Eagle questions, and many of the youth and the parents of those youth thought that they couldn't even think about an Eagle project until they already completed every Eagle requirement, and which was putting them way behind. And so we were helping them say, no, you can start thinking about that early, right? And get a jump on it. Yes.
In our unit, we've started, when you do the personal management, it has a thing in there for doing a project. I said, you need to start working on that right now. That may not be your scout project or your Eagle project, but it's a good idea to start playing with that during that merit badge.
That's a great way to tie a merit badge into the overall Eagle process. also know from George, and George, I think your son had 136 merit badges. Is that right? And offered to talk to anybody that's interested in how that can be accomplished. So if they're struggling with getting the merit badges they need, certainly George's son is an expert at that to help pass on that knowledge. All right, with that, I'd like to introduce Sarah, who is our council marketing and communications chair, and to talk a bit about our marketing program, talk about our communications, and give Sarah a big welcome.
I appreciate being here. Can you hear me okay? Should I hold this? Or just maybe we'll just put it.
Yeah, you
All right.
you put it in there if you want to go.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, good to see everybody. Thanks for having me this morning. I'm happy to be here and join you. It's an exciting time, and I think we have the best job in marketing and communications because we get to talk about all the great things that we do, along with your help in doing that. So I have been involved for about 5 or 6 years on the board, and in the last year have been given the great honor of leading the marketing and communications team, which from a board level, which is great. We've really made a lot of movements forward this year, and a couple of those things I just wanted to share with you. If you want to go to the next slide, Jeff, are you doing this? Oh, sorry.
That's all
Thank
right.
you. Whoops, I'm skipping a little bit ahead, but we'll talk about our good stuff first. So our successes this year, probably our biggest one is that we have brought on a full-time marketing communications director. We've had one in the past, but we went for a little while without one. And so David was filling in quite a bit. David Sykes on doing a lot of that work along with everything else that he was working on. But it's been great to have someone full-time on board. And if you haven't met that person, her name is Kylie Barron. And she is very capable, very qualified, and is really doing a great job. So from a staff perspective, she is definitely your go-to, but you're always welcome to, come to me to ask questions, etc. My background is about 25 years in marketing and public relations, probably more so on the public relations side, media side, communications. So I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing there and some cool things that we have coming up to really, get our story out in the media. So the difference between marketing communications, this comes up a lot. In many large companies, fast company, there was a director of marketing and there was a director of communications. And in many companies, though, or nonprofits, we have to combine those because we just don't have the resources. But there is a pretty significant difference. From a marketing side, marketing is really data-driven, and David is a very data-driven guy, and so I appreciate that he looks at the data before he's making decisions. And so marketing-wise, we are really, there's four P's in marketing, and actually, David, if you go to the next slide, it'll show you what those 4 P's are. So product, price, promotion, and place. I don't know if you've probably seen these before. Actually, I think that show, The Profit, has anybody ever seen The Profit? They talk about the 4 P's in making a company successful. So these 4 P's are really important from a marketing side. I say it's sort of like it's how you package and deliver what you are putting out there. So our product, we all know what our product is. We package it in a gift, so to speak, and we put it together in that gift, and we deliver it to our audience. The delivery is really that communications piece. The communications is as it says, the who, what, when, where, why. So communications is how we talk about it, how we explain what we do, what audiences we want to reach, et cetera, et cetera. So our marketing is really taking the data that we have. It would be things such as how we're taking the leads that we get, from the website, let's say, for families who are interested in scouting, and how many times we follow up on those leads and how we hit them with additional emails or with calls from Grayson or whatever it is. So that's really the marketing side, is that data piece. The communications is all the fantastic things we're saying about why those families need to join us and what we're doing. So, and how we describe those things, the who, what, when, where, why sort of piece. So that's kind of a quick overview of marketing communications. We do, as I said, we combine these, we do a lot of both. We're probably more communications driven. I think nonprofits in general are more communications driven because we are talking about, the great things that we do. When you're selling, a widget, you're gonna be probably more marketing based because you are putting it in an Apple, I think about Apple, which of course does everything right, but they have, the Apple iPhones come in that beautiful box, the white box, the package is great. Like, that's the way they market it to us. It's amazing. And so we probably talk more about communications because we need to define what we need to tell people, the feeling, give them the feeling of what Scouts can do for them. And then let's go to our next slide. So back to our marketing successes for this year. So as I mentioned, our full-time marketing communications director, Kylie. We've also really worked to strengthen our committee at the board level. I think a lot of our committees at the board level have been strengthened with a lot of professional people who are guiding us and really giving us their expertise, which is awesome. We've also worked to build our district communications coordinators, so our DCCs. Some of you have DCCs. There's a few, I think, that are operating out there that we don't know about, and I would love to know about them because we are now having, I would say, quarterly district communications coordinator meetings, and just by Zoom, since we're across the council. But we have been talking, I'll share things, or Kylie will share things that we're doing at the council level and then get feedback, which is so helpful. For example, this February 15th event that we'll talk about in a moment, that really came from our district communications coordinators on how to celebrate among Scouts and families, how to celebrate this momentous, occasion of the name change and the big birthday, et cetera, et cetera. So those district communications coordinators I know they're awesome in your districts to talk about, or to get the word out in, about district activities, but they also provide us information here at the council level and ideas. So if you see an open position and you have someone who's acting as your district communications coordinator, I would love for you to let Kylie or me know, because we would love them to join us in in our calls on a regular basis and give us as much info as they can. And if you have some, I'll be working with the district executives, Grayson, Sarah, et cetera, to make sure that we fill some of these positions if we don't have anyone in that position. But these are generally people that are running the Facebook pages for the districts, or disseminating emails on, events, et cetera. So again, I think some of these are there. We just don't know the names of those individuals, and we would love to know who they are so they can join us in this. And this is really the first time we've really, well, at least since I've been involved, that we've engaged those district communications coordinators at a council level. We just don't want them operating out there in a vacuum. We want to be able to, share what's happening here, all of that. So that's been really helpful for me because I don't necessarily know what happens in Paducah on a day-to-day basis, or if we're planning something, does Paducah have school that day? And we shouldn't have planned it that day because, that's going on there. So it's been a great way for us at council level to get to get info, also to get story ideas and pictures and things that are going on that we can share from a council level. So I talk about story ideas. George, for example, we just had a big fun celebration of George's accomplishment and his merit badges. And that is something that, came up to the marketing committee and to Kylie on the staff level, that we have this great accomplishment. What can we do with it? Well, me being a PR person, I'm like, oh, we can do a lot with that. The media is gonna jump on this. This is a really cool thing. They love young people who are doing awesome stuff. And so we were able, thank you so much to George's family. We were able to bring George here and you recognize him at the annual meeting last week. Was that last week? And have, 4 or 5 media cameras here and then interviews with George. And that has probably generated, I would say, in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000 in earned media, media that we did not have to pay for, which is awesome. And so who knows how many families saw that and who were inspired to look into Scouts. Again, this is back to marketing. We will look at our website hits from those few days and we'll probably see an increase in our website hits because people were looking in our region, we're looking up scouting. So, that's an awesome thing that we need from all of you, like those stories of youth who are doing really unique things. And those can come from the district communications coordinators, but also if they just come from all of you in sharing with your district executives or David or Kylie or me, that would be awesome. Because the more of those we have, the better. That is free marketing for us, free communications, and that's what's really gonna help us grow. The media, as we all know, is a pretty a significant form of getting our message out. We also, so as you all know, we're changing, and we really have changed the name now to Scouting America. And I was fortunate to be at the national annual meeting last year and was able to see the announcement, there and really understand the messaging behind, from Roger Crone himself, behind why the name change and what it means. And so we've been able to bring a lot of that into our council. And we've been working up to this point, this February. Is today February 1st? Yes, this February, so it's the official birthday month of Scouts. We've been working for probably 9 months, I guess, since then to make this announcement and to share this with the world. Internally, most everything has been changed. We have signs still to change, as you all probably know, and none of this is gonna happen overnight. But I think we're pretty fortunate to now have the new Scouting America badges that you know about. And we, even on our fall recruitment pieces, it was very subtle, but we started using the Scouting America logo. And of course, we've asked that all of you use that logo in everything you're doing now as well. There's a whole brand website on how to use the Scouting America logo and the different logos you need. So if you don't have that, by all means, you'll have to, yes.
In the marketing folder for the QR code Google folder, I just dropped all the Scouting America logos in that marketing folder for you.
Awesome.
I have a Google folder for today.
Oh, yes, I heard you say that. Yeah, that's great. So it's out there. So use that use those logos. There's some messaging and some wording on the Scout site about, how to talk about what this name change means. But I think we're already all doing it. It's been a pretty seamless rollout, which was nice. When the name change was announced, you probably saw some not so pleasant comments on social media and in different places. But I think all that has subsided. And I would say the not so pleasant comments versus the pleasant comments there was a big difference. The pleasant comments were pretty high. Even local, I think when WDRB ran their story about the name change, which we didn't pitch, they just picked that up from the national story. There were 747 comments or something on WDRB's Facebook page about Scouting America's name change. And they were primarily positive. So we really are focusing on those positive ones. So what we're doing this month, I think that this was teased a little bit. We're having an event on February 15th. This completely came from, again, our district communications coordinator committee. For the last 4 or 5 months, we've been talking about what can we do to make this a big deal? How can we celebrate? And how can we involve Scouts from across the council, not just here in Louisville. In Louisville, though, because our headquarters is here, We are going to, this will be the center point of this event. And you might have seen this on Facebook. On February 15th from 11 to 1, we'll have just a nice, fun party celebration of all things Scouts. So if you're here, we invite you to come here. If you're not here, there's a way to join us virtually. And that is when you go to, you can get to this information through Facebook, but I think we'll also probably need to put it out on the website in a little clearer format, maybe as a pop-up. So we'll do that. So that everybody can have this info, but there is a virtual link to join us. And we will, besides, you know, some fun and some games and showcasing of things scouting related, you know, we will have media most likely. So we want to have some visuals and we want to have, you know, kind of derby cars. So we're going to encouraging scouts to bring those sorts of things. But in addition to that, we will have a press conference. Probably at about 11:30, we'll put that information out where we will invite the press here in Louisville, but also in our 3 other major media markets. And we've already been talking with those about even streaming our press conference to the other major media markets. So it's picked up around our whole council, which will be pretty cool. But at the speakers, what was I going to tell you? Oh, I know. At the press conference, we will open it, and again, to show the strength of Scouts council-wide, we will open it with our Scouts who are joining us on Zoom, as well as our Scouts who will be here, and we'll, you know, of course, say the oath and the Scout law, etc., together. And I think that's important for the media to see that all of these Scouts together of all ages are you know, participating in something that's gone on for a long time, for 115 years. So that is how we'll open that event. And then we will have, we're going to try to, we'll keep the press conference piece, the speakers to maybe 20 minutes or so. Jason will likely speak. And other than that, we want to make it about our youth. So we are bringing, we are tapping on some youth right now to speak at that event that shows the, you know, helps us show the diversity of what Scouts are all about. So we are working on that, and I certainly invite anyone to join us here or by Zoom out in the council, and I think it'll be a really fun day. So that's our celebration. Questions on that? You know, this is a work in progress, so if there's things that we are forgetting or that we're not being inclusive of certain individuals, you know, or people, I certainly want to know that this is a different thing for us to do, but we thought it was a really important time to do it. Oh, the other important piece of that is if the weather's nice, we are going to raise our first Scouting America flag outside. So we had the idea of, oh, we could unveil a sign, you know, we have a sign, we could unveil the new sign that says Scouting America, etc. But I feel like everybody unveils signs, and what's unique to us, our flags are very unique to us. And we thought it would be a really great visual and something to do together for those who can be here to raise the new flag outside. So we are having a temporary flag made. We couldn't get the new one in time. And actually the new one is not as, doesn't exactly have the Scouting America logo like we would want it to show up in the media, the actual flag. So we're getting sort of a fake temporary flag made, but it'll work. It'll work for the purposes we need it to work for. This is magic television, of course, and photos. But so that's what we just thought that'd be a fun visual to you know, have our event in here and then to have everyone raise the flag. You know, the hot dog stand down the street cannot raise a flag. They can unveil a sign, but they can't raise a flag. So that's something that kind of ties into our heritage and our history and our culture. That is that event. So are the opportunities that we have, our biggest opportunity this year and the biggest goal of this year is to support membership in bringing in as many new Scouts as we can and supporting those who are in Scouts now and you know, rising to further levels and sharing their stories. But I would say we're probably focused on that new Scouts piece because we have so much room to grow, as you all have heard this morning and as we've talked about for a long time. And the reason that I put this image of fishing sort of appropriate for scouts fishing. But the reason I did this is because I'm a big believer of fishing in the pond where there's fish, as opposed to, trying to find new ponds and a few fish over here in this pond and a few over here. Let's go to the pond where there's a lot of fish. And there are a lot of fish in our ponds that we still need and can go after and bring into the scouting family. So one of the things we've done is to keep my fishing theme going, we've identified what those fish look like. And I would encourage you, I don't want to tell you exactly what they look like from a council perspective, but we have been given some data from national, they actually did it for all the councils, to say, your fish are, this age, generally, they like to go to, I'm making this up, they like to go to Chick-fil-A on Fridays, the families go camping, in the spring and the fall, whatever that is. But we know a lot about what the profile is of who we want to go after. And what I'm going to encourage you today to do is think about your profile, which very much aligns with the council's profile, although it's slightly different throughout our council. But think about what your ideal profile is, and this is the marketing piece, what your customer, so to speak, profile is, and who you want to, who you can attract that are similar or of the like that you can bring into to your families and your troops and your packs, etc. So if you go to the next slide, just talking a little bit about what, customer profiles are. This would be, this is a bad Star Wars example, but Lonesome Lucas, his goals are to save princesses, be a pilot, bring his family together. His online activities, if he had them, were searching his family tree, equipment repairs, meditation apps, video games, etc. His habits, 1970s haircuts, driving fast, trusting his feelings, or Luke Skywalker there. So this is not our typical customer that we're looking for, but I just put this up so that you can think about these attributes of who you right now are, who are in your scouting families, who are in your, and I say families because think about the parents as well. So, what are the parents doing generally? Are they, individuals or families that go to church every Sunday? And if that's the case, then really, honing in on those church-going families, on the ones, like I said, that are camping. Do they drive SUVs? Do they live in XYZ type of neighborhoods? So I encourage you to sort of think about your Lonesome Lucas, and I hope they're not lonesome. I hope it's a better profile than that. But your profiles of who your scouts are, and ultimately go after and think about recruiting like-minded, doing individuals to bring them into scouts. Now, this is not to say that there's not a diversity piece, and David Sykes is probably trembling a little now because he's big on diversifying our audiences, which we certainly want to diversify our troops, and we want to reach those individuals who are underserved and who may not know anything about us and don't look like our other scouts or do the things that our other scouting families do. We certainly need to recruit those individuals as well, but let's go after the low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, are ones that look just like the ones that are already in your troops and your packs. Our next slide, this one, again, just thinking about your own profile. So your own sample Sallys or typical Timothys. Who are your sample Sallys and who are your typical Timothys? And again, what do they do? These are just some ideas. Are the parents generally between the ages of X and Y? We have learned, and this actually, some of these are true, some of these are not, but we do know that a majority of our scouts come from households where there's 2+ children in the household. It's just, that's what our profiles told us, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So I'm just, again, making this up, parents that are active in school or church committees. And then thinking about the students themselves. Do your scouts tend to be voracious readers? Do they have a unique talent? And I thought about George in that sense. You know, George is a theater person. Are your scouts, do they tend to be theater people or not at all? So what does your profile look like? And I would just encourage you to build out that profile as we are doing at the council level, to really market and target who you want to bring in and who would be ideal to fit in your troops and your packs. That's about what I have to say and what I have to share. Really, it's that recruitment piece that we will focus on this year. And, you know, fall, of course, is recruitment season, but we're doing this all of the time. We are, even from a marketing perspective, using those profiles that I mentioned. And as we build it and on Facebook and social media, we can set our marketing parameters to individuals or families that have, you know, XYZ, or that live in certain XYZ areas, or that do XYZ on the weekends or in the evenings. So we're really focusing that, we're doing that from a council level in a very global perspective. But it's impossible for us to do it at the grassroots, you know, the ground level where you're seeing these kids every day. So that's what I encourage you to do over the next year, and we will support you in any way we can. I would love questions.
Thanks, Sarah. When I'm hearing this, like I really think it's a great idea that how we think about our families and our units and how we're serving them. But what does that translate into in terms of the families demanding to come into their schools and talk about scouting? That's where you guys really attention. Is how can you get the schools asking us to come in versus us trying to find them in?
That's a good question. Yes, and this.
Sarah,
Yeah.
the question
Oh.
cross point and pepper.
Yes. So the question is, how does this profile translate to getting into the schools and the families who want us to come into the schools? Is that what you're saying?
This is all working. We're really putting a lot of effort into this. I think we should see schools that maybe we come in instead of us trying to find them. And I don't see that today. So we're going to part of our goals this year to be schools.
A goal being this year, how do we get our schools to want us to come in? I would agree. I absolutely would agree with you that should be a goal. And that's probably, I mean, that, as we all know, that's the hardest thing. Getting schools to accept us, getting principals to let us in. I think a piece of that where the council could be supportive is this, making sure that these stories are out in the media. If I'm my mother was an elementary school principal. And, if she would see something on TV, how great scouts are doing and what great programs these are. And, she's been hounded 2 or 3 times by someone, a district executive or a scouting parent who said, hey, we want to come talk about this. And then she sees it on the news. Sure. I think she would be much more open to it. So from a council perspective, I think it's creating that large awareness. From an individual marketing perspective, that's probably that communications piece. I mean, I think we have to continue, we just have to talk about the successes that scouting can bring to our students. I don't have a silver bullet answer for that, but yeah.
If I could jump in here, Drew. Sure. So one of the things we learned a few years ago coming out of COVID is that youth in particular need a way for outdoors and socialization and to be around other folks. Scouts provides a great opportunity, as you heard through the program parts, to have this socialization aspect. As you think about many families are electing to homeschool, well, how do they get that socialization? How do they get that interaction with other kids their own age? How do they get that activity outside? So scouting, I think, through the program areas can provide a lot of those things, but we have to be willing to put that forward to tell them to communicate it, as Sarah was talking about, and make sure that they understand that, not only from folks that are maybe already are members in scouting, but also through our marketing and communications. Sorry.
One of the things that I love that Scouts put out when they announced the name change at the annual meeting was they said social with, they had some really fun phrases. One was social without the media. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I think that goes to that socialization piece, social without the media. So I think you're right, that outdoor piece, as much as we all know that's important, you know, I think continuing to make that a priority for sure.
Another question.
Yes.
Well, it's more of a recommendation. The recommendation is reaching out to the public library system.
Reaching out to the public library system.
Yeah, so, for example, my wife is a youth librarian in Western. The Girl Scouts recruit directly out of the library. Now, they've worked out a program with them and it's all done through permission, but they go and set up a booth. And, you know, and that's, you're gonna reach your homeschool kids, you're gonna reach those kids that aren't really engaged in after-school activities, that basically go to school and then leave the building, things like that, because in a lot of places, these libraries have become community centers, especially here in Louisville metro area. So it's a recommendation that, yes, we're having trouble getting into the schools, but there are other ways where youth congregate, you know, that doesn't involve video games or whatever, but like the libraries are present. So it's an engagement with the library managers. Like it would involve going in and asking to speak to the manager and then build what they would expect from there. So this is just a recommendation.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I had not thought about that. I think that's a really interesting idea, and from a grassroots standpoint, yes, but also for us to maybe have a list when we're sending out information or events that are going on to library systems. For example, our scouting event on February 15th is not just open to scouts, it's open to anyone. And so that would be, I think that's an interesting point to share that with library managers, you said?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, the library
I like it.
managers are the first point of contact and then to the youth librarians. And they'll tell you exactly about their communities that they deal with. Like my wife works at Western. She doesn't do anything that doesn't, you know, serve the identity of the population. So even when she's doing her marketing for her programs, she spends a lot of time making sure that the imagery is directly related to the identities of the program or the population versus just something generic. So.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a great idea.
Hey, Sarah, if you don't mind, just real quick, because I think this ties to membership, Dave, 20 seconds.
So the
20 seconds. So with the schools, I know you have 20 seconds. So Jeff mentioned one of our focuses is to grow in that relationship with the schools. Some of that is very finite based on the school systems and us targeting that as a staff. Make sure you're working through your staff members. So for example, I just went to meet with the Shelby County Superintendent, who's only been there for about a year. Pat Harkinen on our board helped us set it up. We have Dr. Mooneyhan on our board that has a lot of connections. We just want to make sure we're all aligned. That meeting went very well, by the way, but we have specific targeted school systems that we're going to be making superintendent visits between now and the fall as well. But I'm going to write down homeschools. We do a poor job, and I'm going to write down your ideal in the libraries, but put it in the park lot.
I will.
All right, thank you, David. Anything else for Sarah? All right, thank you, Sarah. I don't think we always get insight, and I really appreciate Sarah providing that insight on what marketing's doing and also communications. And if you're interested in how big that fish pond is, she can share some more detailed information and about going after youth and increasing the our membership numbers and what that pond looks like out there. I mean, very reasonable to be bringing other youth into the program and building that leadership. Now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Jeff, last speaker for today. So you're the anchor. Jared, bring us home.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yeah, tough act to follow with Sarah here and marketing and being the last act of the day here, hopefully to keep you awake, and I'll keep this on time because I know David's time to be here with the timer. I want to talk to you today about the District Key 3 and how that's the foundation for success and how that really ties into all the presentations that we've heard today. So I'm going to go over a few slides here in a minute, just some highlights about the Key 3 and really dig in a little bit to commissioner service as well, how that connects. because we heard, oh, commissioners can solve this, commissioners can solve that today. It's not just the commissioners. Commissioners have a big role, but it's really all of us. And I'm really, especially with the Seneca district here, we've got Drew, we've got Sarah, you said Grayson too. But really, it's not just the key three, but it really is all of us coming together. And that's what I want you all to take away. So let's jump into it here. And just a quick refresher, if you're not familiar with the key three, it's not one role takes the throne. It's not Drew, the district chair, that gets to decide all the priorities, or our district executive, or the commissioner just get to solve all the world's problems. It's really the three of us coming together and looking out for the priorities of the district, coming together for the goals from council, as well as the asks and the goals that we're hearing from the units, and bringing and bridging that together. So again, the district chair person here is filling all those district roles and setting the priorities for the district. We've got the district executive. They're the professional scouter, working with, the tech guys having tech issues here, great. And then they're the advisor to both the district chairperson and the district commissioner. And then there's the district commissioner. It's a volunteer position, and the chief morale officer. And this is straight out of the district field materials here. I didn't make this up. As well as accountability officer for unit service. Getting down into the units we heard today is important to know, well, what's going on in the units? Why is there no advancement? Why is membership declining? Or why is it improving? What are those success stories? And help share it with the marketing team, for instance. So again, this is the key three. This is a team of equals, a team of partnership. And I gotta say with Seneca, it's worked really well, communicating regularly, collaborating. We meet monthly, we meet ad hoc, we text. We really are just like our little mini family. We also show up. And that's also really important with your key three, or with any of your roles in the district, is you show up at events, you show up on calls, and you show up for the units when they call and they need to. So let's dig a little bit more though into changes. We've heard a lot of changes in the CUP program. We've heard now the Scouting America changes. Commissioner service is going through quite a lot of change as well. So how many of you all are familiar with commissioner service? Just curious. A lot of you are. And I've actually been, since I moved to Louisville 20 years ago, called up David Sykes. He's like, hey, I got a role for you. Hey, let's get you in the commissioner service. So I've also seen it change a lot. And going out to PTC, Adrian invited me out to Commissioner Week out at Philmont Training Center, enlightened me to the changes rolling out this year. And these are just a couple of highlights. I'm going to be fast on this, but in the previous kind of realm of commissioner world, we were thought of as the auditors. We've got our notebook. And we're going to be going to each unit and saying, all right, did you do your job? I'm going to report this back up to my boss, John Fisher, the council commissioner, and I'm going to tell my DE, and we're going to have secret meetings. Well, of course, we don't do that in the Scouts. There's no secret meetings. Everything's open. But that's we weren't always invited to show up at meetings. We're like, oh, we don't need a commissioner. We're good. Just leave us alone. This is the past as far as culture. What we're moving from is this to more of a collaborative, more a partnership. You're going to hear that word a lot. Culture in commissioner service. It's no longer that we're subjectively thinking, well, I really like Troop 30, but this other troop over here, nobody compares to that. So one. I'm going to rate them a one. But we're moving to objective measures, and we're going to see more about the measures. We heard about measures around membership, advancement, but who has access to this information? And we have so many things like Journey to Excellence with two or three pages of material, and it's really micro type. And trying to get through all of this, it's been complicated. You also see complicated over here. Simplified is really the way forward. We only have so much time in our day. So I just want to highlight this, that your commissioners, and for those commissioners in the room, there's quite a lot of changes coming up. And not just with culture, but also with our tools. One thing that's changing, it might be a little hard to see here in the room, but the jury excellence, how many of you know that's actually going away? A couple of you do, but if you don't know, that is going away. But the concept's not going away. We're going to see some more metrics here in a minute. But again, the main things we're focused on are the things we talked about today, about membership, advancement, and as well as financial needs. All of that kind of coming together in metrics that are going to be visible to us and to our leaders. It's like going to a restaurant. When you walk into a restaurant, you see the health score. Think about that for units. If your youth and your families were to walk into a new unit and they see a health score of C or D, maybe they look down the street to another unit that might have an A. Maybe they don't really want to go there, but it also puts accountability on the leaders now to help make sure that they've got a B or an A unit for those families to show up at. So that's, again, it all comes down to metrics. A lot of things are staying the same too. The same, how can we help culture? We're still going to be looking to assign commissioners to units. We still want to build that partnership with the unit. We don't want to just be the auditor for the unit, but we want to show up and really be their partner, getting to a better place, going after their goals, not just what council or district or national tells us. So again, the district key 3 is that bridge. It is kind of connecting and helping units see the resources that you all have talked about today and delivering that to our youth through the units. So this is a real eye chart here. And again, this will be in the folder, and this is all late breaking here. The tools for commissioners are actually down right now. You can't even get into commissioner tools because they're getting ready to roll this out. David's had spreadsheets like this probably for quite a while, but we're simplifying it to 5 key areas. We've got training. So we heard from training today. Ron over here was sharing training thoughts. And speaking of training, again, wood badge. Are you on to wood badge? We'll talk more about that in a little bit too. We got unit size, right? We heard from membership, from Jeff on membership. We've got growth, which is the unit actually growing year over year. But there's actually some interesting things. Well, maybe the size is big enough. So there's these alternative measures here. Like if you've got 30 scouts in your unit, you're probably a healthy unit. You're probably stable. And that's what National has been doing. They've ran a pilot for several months, and they've looked at the data going back quite a ways. What makes a healthy unit? And again, we can look at 100 different measures, but they've really distilled it down to a handful here that we're seeing, that these are the measures that are most important for a unit to survive and for a unit to thrive. Advancement is we need at least 30%, not 0%. We need 30% of the unit to be advancing to the next rank to be successful. And in an outdoor activity, at least one outdoor activity. For troops, it's a long-term activity like summer camp, but at least one a year is really critical, especially for those packs. If they just show up every week and they're only just sitting in a room, doing 10 meeting activities, they're really not getting the promise we gave them for scouting, which is getting outside and doing BB guns, camping, archery, all of that good stuff. So again, these are the 5 key measures. They're going to be rolling out more details on this. More reports are coming soon. Easier accessibility to this. And as a key 3, and especially as a commissioner, we're working with units and helping our units across the district to ensure that they're able to accomplish these measures, which again, the bar might seem a little low on this, especially looking at journey to excellence. But again, this is the simplified measures going forward this year. So what about some tools? What are some resources here? Batteries might be getting low, that we can use to take forward from here. So again, we heard a lot of good information today. I'm not going to repeat it all, but it really is that partnership. Partner with your commissioners, partner with your key three, partner with units. It doesn't just have to be the unit commissioners going out to units. Any of the district chairs and anybody in this room can do a sample, talk to a unit, get some ideas. If you need help finding a unit to talk to a commissioner, talk to anybody in the key three. We want to get you connected, and that's really what this is all about. Support the new objective metrics. We're going to get pushback, we're going to get surprises that journey to excellence is gone. Or why is safety not one of the metrics up there? We've heard that as well. But it all comes back into again, this is a new program, but it has been tested. It's meant to simplify. It's meant to keep our focus and invite leaders to join the commissioner team. We can never have enough commissioners. We can never have enough people on the committees. We can never have enough leaders in the units. But again, it's all about that partnership. We want to work with people, and I think it's really an exciting time to be a commissioner. And certainly, hey, for a strong foundation, you want to build it with the right bricks. And we've heard a lot of those bricks today as far as the different priorities. And a big brick for me as well is training. So again, Commissioner Weekend PTC, that was a game changer for me. Talk to Adrian afterwards if you have questions. Another one coming up November 1st. Another really good training, being the best leader you can, especially as commissioner, where you look to as a role model, as a single best resource. And then what badge do? I've got some flyers here on the front. If you or you know somebody who could benefit from Wood Badge, I imagine all of us do. How many people in here have done Wood Badge? I think almost everybody. If you haven't raised your hand, please come see me. Come get a flyer afterwards. Come talk to Ron otherwise as well. And then let's just kind of wrap up here with what are the priorities? We've heard a lot of priorities all day. And these are the priorities from national for commissioners. But they resonate with everything we've heard, and they just help bring the bigger picture together. So it's being the single best resource. That doesn't mean that commissioners, again, are solving all the problems, but we really want to be the single best resource to unit leaders, to be their friend, to be someone that they can count on when they have a question. If we don't know the answer, we're going to find it. Doesn't mean we know it all, but we know who to go to. And being connected, having this district, this council team to support us is, this is what we bring to units. That many times maybe thinking, hey, I'm all alone. But there's so many resources, there's so many people that are willing to help. Ensuring safe programs. Again, this culture of safety. Again, it's not the commissioner putting on the program, and we're there to help bring participants. We're helping enlighten it, helping with the marketing, helping with just volunteer, whatever it takes, as far as being there as a resource to ensuring the program stays safe and enabling significant sustainable growth. Again, from a membership perspective, helping with recharter, helping with recruiting, helping just making sure those objectives are met, because those are the best for both recruiting and retention. So again, this is the top level priorities from national, but connected to all that we've heard today. So with that, I'll turn it back over to David here for a big thank you as well. Maybe first though, is there anything I missed that you all think is a key three foundation for success, besides just having a great district commissioner? I think I'll just give the thank you on that. So, hey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Any final thoughts or comments? I have just a couple minutes. Not, I'll go into some closing comments. Yes.
I was going to remind everyone in here, most of you know about it, we have a program called Adventure Camp. And we need volunteers for that. It's the week of April 14th. This year, we did twice a year, fall and spring. It is a school field trip for schools with kids with different abilities. So it's a pretty neat thing to see. You'll be out of Camp Creek. It's out of Camp Creek. You'll be out of camp by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we like to do a staff meeting at 8:30. You can volunteer for 1 day or all 5 days. You don't have to we'll train you in about 2 minutes. And because a lot of the kids will have a peer come with them, so we're not dealing with directly one-on-one with kids. But we have a fun little program. If you have any questions, come see us.
So Dan, for those of you across the point in Pfeffer, Dan Sturgill was reminding us of Adventure Camp at Crooked Creek the week of April 14th. If you've not volunteered 1 day or all week down there, I'd highly encourage you to do that. You get paid with smiles and hugs. And it is a very special time for special needs kids that many don't get to see the outdoors or participate in those activities otherwise. And can use you, whether you're just putting on life jackets to help with canoeing or you're helping retrieve arrows off the hill because Kat and I can't climb the hill anymore, or helping with BB guns or any of the other crafts activities, leather work. Silent disco is absolutely amazing. And so at least come out and participate if you can. Thank you, Dan. Anything else? Anybody? Did you see anything from Pfeffer Cross Point? All right. I had 5 hopes for the day. First of all, I hope that you took away from today the great, enormous amount of momentum that we already have in our council. In membership, whether it's membership being second amongst the 200 level councils, in membership and membership growth, whether it's programs, it's raising funds, fundraising, advancement, trainings. We certainly have a strong council, and it's easier to build upon strength than it is to build upon where you're having a lot of challenges and issues. So I hope that you take that as a strength to build upon. I hope that my second hope is that you build upon this success and together we achieve the goals for 2025 that's laid out. Very reasonable goals, and I think that we deserve and owe it to our communities, state and nation to have more leaders in the future. Fourth, I hope that today in some way, maybe just a small way, will contribute to your success, that you took away something today that you didn't know, that you learned something new, or that maybe you met and made a relationship with somebody that you'd seen their name or didn't know them, but together it doesn't end here today. You share those ideas, share those contact information, reach out, because as David started in the beginning of the meeting, we've had districts with successes in various different areas. And I know for a fact that they are anxious and willing to share how they had those successes so that each of our other districts can use those techniques and achieve the same types of results. Lastly, I just want to wish you health and safety in your activities, wherever you may have to go today or throughout the next week, month, and throughout the year. And then lastly, just a sincere thank you for spending your day with us today, for being here, for traveling here, and a great big thank you to all the speakers and presenters today. It wouldn't have been made possible without you. Be safe. Have a great day. Thank you.